Chapter 724. Ning Shu had a worried look on his face as he dealt with this group of gossipers. The topic of conversation was all about Kaianchi. Ning Shu sighed and said, "When I married Wang Bo, I didn't know that she was such a person. After I found out, I felt that it was all in the past and didn't pursue it. But she was still like this and didn't know how to repent. Wang Bo couldn't take it anymore and had to divorce her." Auntie Li comforted Ning Shu. "This daughter-in-law isn't good. The next daughter-in-law will definitely be good." Ning Shu just forced a smile. Ning Shu dealt with this group of people and asked Wang Bo, "Why did you say it in front of so many people?" Wang Bo rubbed his forehead and said, "There's no point in dragging it out like this. She even threatened to tell the world that she cheated on me, so I gave her what she wanted." Ning Shu was speechless. So where did Kaianchi's confidence come from? She was confident that this person would always be there waiting for her. No matter what she did wrong, this person would forgive her. Ning Shu let out a long sigh. "Then things are simple. I was worried about you before, so I'll just go to court for a divorce." Wang Bo and Ning Shu forced a smile. "Got it." Ning Shu comforted Wang Bo. "It's over. Live well. Don't be sad because of someone who doesn't deserve it." Wang Bo pursed his lips and nodded. "Then I'll go find a lawyer and prepare for the divorce?" Ning Shu asked Wang Bo. Wang Bo nodded. "Thank you, Mom. I'll go by myself. You rest at home. You must be tired these days." Ning Shu couldn't help but smile. "That's true. This is your problem. You can deal with it yourself." Wang Bo was busy every day and didn't go home much. He was always dealing with the divorce. Ning Shu also stopped urging Kaianchi to get up and work every day. She could sleep whenever she wanted. Did she really think that torturing people was easy work? Was she not tired when Kaianchi was tired? Kaianchi was going to be free. She was going to be free too. Kaianchi was well aware of her current situation. Ever since Wang Bo had exposed her affair, she had lost her advantage in front of Wang Bo. At that time, Kaianchi was just testing Wang Bo. If the other party's attitude was slightly softer, Kaianchi felt that she would have gotten the 200,000 yuan. In the end, the probing failed, and now the chicken had flown away and the eggs had been smashed. Kaianchi came out of the bedroom and said to Ning Shu, who was picking vegetables, "Give me 200,000 yuan, and I will divorce Wang Bo immediately." Ning Shu slowly picked the vegetables and faintly said, "Wang Bo is already preparing for a divorce. Let's talk about it in court." When Kaianchi heard that she had to go to court, her face turned ugly. She took a step back and said, "Then give me 150,000. 150,000. Ning Shu's expression did not change. "You have to ask Wang Bo about this. You and Wang Bo are husband and wife. I can't say much about this kind of thing." Kaianchi rolled her eyes. Ning Shu threatened, "If you don't agree, I'll die in your house. You're the ones who forced me to die." Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu dared to guarantee that Kaianchi would not bear to die. Kaianchi only loved him. How could she bear to die? Seeing that Ning Shu was unmoved, Kaianchi rushed into the kitchen and picked up a fruit knife. She pointed it at her wrist. "If you don't agree, I'll slit my wrists and commit suicide." Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu faintly said, "Are you sure you want to slit your wrists? There are no major arteries on your wrists, and the bleeding is very slow. Also, can you find the location of the blood vessels? You might cut your tendons, and your hands will be crippled. Also, if you bleed too much, your brain will be ischemic, and you'll be in a vegetative state after rescue." Kaianchi's hand that was holding the fruit knife trembled. She looked at Ning Shu in horror. Why are you doing this?" He did not follow the script at all. Ning Shu added, "I'll call the ambulance in time." Kaianchi really wanted to take the knife and stab this old woman. Hating Ning Shu, Kaianchi threatened, "Don't regret it." Ning Shu faintly said, "Kaianchi, I treat you as my daughter-in-law, but you treat this place as a nursing home. Wang Bo and I are people who serve you." Kaianchi rolled her eyes. "Look at Wang Bo. If I didn't marry him, he wouldn't be able to find a wife. Her. Look at that smug look on her face. It's as if no one can live without you. She's so self-confident." When Kaianchi said this, Wang Bo opened the door and came back. Hearing Kaianchi's words, he said resolutely, "I'll find a good wife and lead a good life." Just you wait and see. Kai Anchi crossed her arms and rolled her eyes in disdain. Seeing Kai Anchi like this, Wang Bo was not angry. If he was, he would have died long ago. He faintly said to Kai Anchi, "The day after tomorrow is the day of the court hearing. I hope you'll be there on time." Kai Anchi was so angry that her face turned green. "Are you really going to divorce me?" "Of course. Now everyone knows that you cheated on a woman who had many miscarriages. Compared to being cheated on, I'm more afraid of being laughed at." Kai Anchi took a deep breath. "Don't regret it." Kai Anchi went into the bedroom to pack her things and came out with a suitcase. Kai Anchi looked at Wang Bo as if she was waiting for him to ask her to stay. Wang Bo said, "Remember to be there on time." Kai Anchi stomped her feet and dragged the suitcase away. On the day of the court hearing, Wang Bo and Ning Shu waited for Kai Anchi at the entrance of the court. After waiting for a long time, Kai Anchi finally arrived. The whole Kai family was there. Ning Shu and his mother seemed weak. Their momentum was suppressed by the Kai family. Ning Shu's lips curled up. This kind of thing was not something that could be won with more people. Kai Anchi looked at Wang Bo and said, "It's not too late." Kai Anchi's father, Ning Shu, said, "In-law, there's no need to bring the matter of the two children to court. Live a good life." Damn! Both of them were treating Wang Bo as a hero. They knew what their daughter was like, but they still wanted the two children to live a good life. If Kai Anchi was their daughter-in-law, they would probably want to kill her. The double standard was too serious. Ning Shu did not say anything. He turned and entered the court. Wang Bo did not say anything either. He followed Ning Shu into the court. Kai Anchi snorted. Seeing her parents staring at her, she said, "I won't let him off so easily." When the court started, Kai Anchi said her request. 200,000 yuan. Wang Bo just looked at Kai Anchi silently and rolled his eyes speechlessly. Kai Anchi's request was rejected by the judge. "Your husband did not do anything wrong in the legal sense. You are the party at fault in the marriage. You can't ask for alimony. He has no obligation to support you." Kai Anchi's face suddenly turned ugly. "I'm his wife. He should support me." "Husband and wife do not have joint assets. The house is your husband's," the judge said. Kai Anchi's face darkened. She wanted to get a lot of money from Wang Bo, but now she might not get a single cent. If she lost the case, she would have to pay the court fees and the other party's lawyer fees. Chapter 725. Kai Anchi felt that she had suffered a great loss. She didn't get anything after getting married, and she even got herself remarried. "Wang Bo, are you a man?" Kai Anchi could only fire at Wang Bo. "I'm your wife. You should be responsible for me." Wang Bo said faintly, "Responsibility? You've never fulfilled your responsibility as a wife." There was no suspense in this divorce case at all. Wang Bo married Kai Anchi under the circumstances of being deceived. After marriage, Kai Anchi committed adultery with another man. Now Kai Anchi couldn't live as a couple because of her health. Their relationship had been broken, and it was difficult for them to live together. Even if Kai Anchi didn't want to divorce and wanted to use responsibility to threaten Wang Bo, the court still approved the divorce. The court's decision was that Wang Bo and Kai Anchi were no longer husband and wife. Their relationship was dissolved. Wang Bo let out a long breath. Ning Shu felt as if a huge rock had been removed from Wang Bo's body. Although he looked a little sad, he was more relaxed. The two families left the court. Kai Anchi's face was gloomy, and she looked anxious. She was at a loss about her future life. Kai Anchi looked at Wang Bo. Although she was high and mighty in front of Wang Bo, she still relied on Wang Bo in her heart. Now that they were divorced, Kai Anchi felt unprecedented loss and fear. She actually felt that her life with Wang Bo was quite good. But Kai Anchi wouldn't turn back. This man treated her like this. Kai Anchi walked over and said to Ning Shu, "You took my things. Give them back to me." Ning Shu nodded. "Come to my house tomorrow to get them." After Ning Shu finished speaking, she turned around and left. Wang Bo left without even looking at Kai Anchi. The next morning, Kai Anchi came to get her things. Wang Bo had just finished his breakfast and was about to go to work. Kai Anchi looked at Wang Bo, who was in a suit and leather shoes. For the first time, she felt that Wang Bo was somewhat charming. Wang Bo walked past Kaianchi expressionlessly, which made Kaianchi feel a little disappointed. Ning Shu gave Kaianchi a box of things. These are your things. Take them and leave. Kaianchi opened the box and carefully examined its contents. She observed Ning Shu from the corner of her eye. Ning Shu asked, "It's all here. Check it carefully. Don't ask me for anything in the future." Kaianchi took a deep breath and said, "You ruined one of my dresses and a pair of shoes. You have to compensate me." Ning Shu leisurely said, "Look carefully. Everything is in your box, I cut it." Kaianchi was speechless. Kaianchi was so angry that her face turned green. She closed the box, picked up the things and turned to leave. Ning Shu smiled as he looked at Kaianchi's back. Kaianchi's body was no longer a weapon, so it was impossible for her to continue living such a life. The 200,000 yuan was saved. Feeding 200,000 yuan to someone like Kaianchi would really anger her to death. After Kaianchi and Wang Bo divorced, Auntie Li often visited Ning Shu and asked him what kind of wife he wanted to find for Ning Shu. A wife needs to be chosen by an old man. As long as her personality is suitable, it's fine. Don't think about love and other useless things. Look at your previous wife. Your son liked her, but she turned out to be such a person. Auntie Li told Ning Shu. Ning Shu gently said, "They just got divorced. There's always a transition period. It's impossible to get married immediately." Auntie Li Ning Shu said, "If there's a suitable girl, I'll introduce her to you. She's a good wife and 3 generations of good children. A vicious wife will harm 3 generations of children. Men want to find a beautiful woman with a beautiful face, big breasts, and a slim figure. You have to be careful." Ning Shu nodded. "Thank you. If Wang Bo wants to get married again, you have to help me." Auntie Li smiled. "That's for sure." Wang Bo came back from work in the evening. During dinner, Ning Shu asked, "Kaianchi already took the things away?" Wang Bo nodded and continued eating. When he saw Ning Shu hesitating to speak, he said, "Mom, just say what you want to say." "Ahem." Ning Shu coughed. "You and Kaianchi have divorced and are about to start a new life. Well, I just want to ask, how's work recently?" Wang Bo said, "It's pretty good. Recently there's a promotion. I can fight for it." Ning Shu smiled and said, "It's pretty good." A down-to-earth and hard-working child like Wang Bo would one day stand out. Ning Shu wanted to ask if Wang Bo had a girlfriend, but he thought it was better to forget it. They had just gotten divorced. If he rushed it, it would be easy for problems to arise. Not long after, Wang Bo was indeed promoted. Although it was only a small step, Wang Bo was very happy. However, Ning Shu was very sad. Her daughter-in-law was still nowhere to be seen. She suddenly understood how parents felt when urging marriage. How could she leave without seeing Wang Bo find a girlfriend? Auntie Li's group of old friends were addicted to matchmaking. Every day, they would introduce young girls to Ning Shu. They even dragged Ning Shu to peek at the girls. Ning Shu, she was busy as a dog. She just didn't know what Wang Bo was thinking. Every time she wanted to ask if Wang Bo was in a relationship. Was it a boyfriend or a girlfriend? But it was like constipation. She couldn't hold it in for a long time. She was afraid that it would make Wang Bo feel pressured. It made Ning Shu unable to eat well and sleep well. One afternoon, when Wang Bo came back for lunch, he brought a girl back. Ning Shu was so excited that her heart was about to jump out. She looked at the girl like a wolf. Well, she looked average. She was pleasing to the eye. She was a pretty girl from a humble family. "Hello, Auntie," the girl called Ning Shu. Ning Shu smiled kindly and gently. Good. A soft and cute girl was good. Bringing her home would definitely be a good idea. But it was so sudden. Ning Shu felt that it was inappropriate. Conflicted, Ning Shu asked the girl to sit down and eat. The girl was a little reserved. She glanced at Wang Bo from time to time. Wang Bo comforted her. "It's okay. My mother is a very kind person." Wang Bo said to Ning Shu, "This is Xiaoyu from our company, Jiang Xiaoyu." Ning Shu nodded and smiled warmly at Jiang Xiaoyu. "Since you're here, just treat this as your own home." "You're welcome." "Thank you, Auntie," Jiang Xiaoyu thanked her. At the dining table, Ning Shu kept observing Jiang Xiaoyu. He didn't know if it was because she couldn't let go, But Jiang Xiaoyu didn't take much food. When Wang Bo picked up food for her, she smiled at Wang Bo with curved eyes. She was very cute, and even thanked Wang Bo. What a quiet and cute girl. Ning Shu was very satisfied. She was much better than Kai Anqi, who didn't know how to be grateful, and had a serious princess syndrome. He just didn't know how Wang Bo felt about this girl. When he brought Kai Anqi home, she had a silly smile on her face. She looked like an idiot who had fallen in love. Now Wang Bo was very calm. Chapter 726. After lunch, Ning Shu pulled Wang Bo aside and asked, "Is this girl your girlfriend?" Wang Bo said, "Yes. She chased me." Wang Bo couldn't help but scratch his head. "Ning Shu, Wang Bo was the one who was flirted with. Does she know that you're divorced?" Ning Shu asked again. Wang Bo said, "She chased me because she knew that I was divorced." Ning Shu, why did it feel like this girl had been coveting her son for a long time? Then do you like her? Ning Shu continued asking. She's very cute, Wang Bo said. Ning Shu, liking and being cute are two different answers. Ning Shu said. From your tone, it seems like you don't like her. I don't like her a lot, but I do. If I want to get married, I'll marry her, Wang Bo said. I think we're suitable for each other. Wang Bo was thinking about marriage for a longer time. Ning Shu nodded and said, Don't be in a hurry to get married. You guys should get to know each other better. Don't bully other girls. Don't bully other girls if you're not married. Mom, I'm not that kind of person. Wang Bo couldn't help but say. Ning Shu, that's right. Wang Bo was the kind of man who would stop halfway if his wife said no. As soon as Wang Bo and the girl left, Ning Shu called her girlfriends over and told them that her son had a girlfriend. The girlfriends all said that they wanted to see what the girl was like and help choose her. During the weekend, Jiang Xiaoyu came to visit Ning Shu. Ning Shu asked Jiang Xiaoyu to go shopping with her. They met a group of girlfriends in the corridor and then went shopping together. Ning Shu asked Jiang Xiaoyu, What do you like about my son? Jiang Xiaoyu said straightforwardly, He's very kind. When I first came to the company, I didn't know anyone. My boss asked me to move things. When he passed by and saw that I couldn't move, he helped me. That's it. Ning Shu looked at Jiang Xiaoyu. Jiang Xiaoyu looked at Ning Shu in astonishment. That's enough. A kind man will definitely treat his wife well. But he had a failed marriage, Ning Shu said. Jiang Xiaoyu sighed. When I first found out that he was married, I was disappointed for a long time. But I didn't think too much about it. Now that he's divorced, I have a chance. Ning Shu looked at Jiang Xiaoyu and felt that she was very smart. When she found out that Wang Bo was married, she didn't think of interfering in other people's marriages. However, as soon as Wang Bo got divorced, he fell into her clutches. She was scheming but not evil. She was indeed more suitable for Wang Bo than Kai Anqi. Ning Shu looked at Jiang Xiaoyu. Although she looked soft and cute on the outside, she was someone with a mind of her own. He felt that Jiang Xiaoyu should be able to get along well with Yang Zi. Yang Zi was the kind of person with a generous personality. She could even accept a daughter-in-law like Kai Anqi, let alone Jiang Xiaoyu. Ning Shu then asked the group of girlfriends, and they all said that it was okay. Auntie Li said that this girl obviously had a mind of her own. Everyone had their own ideas. It was fine as long as they could get along well. Jiang Xiaoyu often came to visit Ning Shu. When Wang Bo looked at Jiang Xiaoyu, there was a smile on his face and a gentle look in his eyes. The relationship between the two was getting better and better. Jiang Xiaoyu often chatted with Ning Shu. During the weekends, they went shopping and played everywhere. They had a good relationship. Jiang Xiaoyu wanted to please her future mother-in-law, and Ning Shu wanted to make her his daughter-in-law. The two hit it off. Ning Shu took Jiang Xiaoyu to buy groceries. Ning Shu found that Jiang Xiaoyu's cooking skills were very good. Jiang Xiaoyu especially liked to cook all kinds of delicacies. Ning Shu didn't refuse. He ate as much as he could. She really didn't want to eat noodles. As soon as the two went downstairs, they saw Kai Anqi wandering around downstairs. When Ning Shu saw Kai Anqi, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Kai Anqi was now thinner than before. Although she was wearing branded clothes, she didn't look as bright as before. It was already autumn, But Kaianchi was still wearing a branded dress and carrying a branded bag. But she gave off a decadent feeling. Even branded clothes couldn't save Kaianchi's decadent temperament. When Kaianchi saw Ningxu, her expression was a little strange. When she saw Jiang Xiaoyu, she thought of a possibility and frowned. Ningxu acted as if he didn't see her and walked away calmly. Kaianchi pursed her lips tightly and caught up with Ningxu. Ningxu looked at Kaianchi, who was blocking in front of him, and asked indifferently, "Miss, what's the matter?" Kaianchi glanced at Jiang Xiaoyu. Ningxu shouted, "Mother-in-law. Don't call me mother-in-law. You and Wang Bo are divorced. We are no longer mother-in-law and daughter-in-law," Ningxu said. Jiang Xiaoyu said to Ningxu, "Auntie Yang, I'll wait for you over there." Ningxu nodded. Jiang Xiaoyu carried the basket and stood far away, leaving Ningxu and Kaianchi alone to talk. Ningxu looked at Kaianchi and said, "Why are you looking for me? I've returned your things to you." "Mother-in-law, let me be with Wang Bo again," Kaianchi begged Ningxu. Ningxu looked indifferent. Not even a crack in the door. Kaianchi's face was decadent. She didn't look good. After divorcing Wang Bo, Kaianchi's life was in an abyss of suffering. Kaianchi's parents felt that this daughter of theirs was too embarrassing and wanted to marry her off far away. The most important thing was that they couldn't afford to raise their daughter, who was a spendthrift. The house was only so big. When their daughter came back, they had to make a room for her. It was very crowded. Kaianchi was used to being arrogant. She didn't get along well with her sister-in-law. Kaianchi complained that her sister-in-law's cooking was not good and tasteless. Then, she asked her sister-in-law to wash her clothes. She completely treated her sister-in-law as a servant. There was always some discord between her sister-in-law and her sister-in-law, and when they quarreled, it made the whole family uneasy. Her sister-in-law despised and hated Kaianchi. She urged the family to quickly marry Kaianchi off. Kaianchi's parents were now looking for a husband for Kaianchi. The person they were looking for was a foreigner. The foreigner didn't know what Kaianchi had done. Kaianchi's parents were in the mood to shift the blame. As long as they could shift the blame, everything would be fine. In the past, Kaianchi could still rely on herself. Relying on her charm, she could enjoy the pursuit of men and let her live a carefree life. But now there was a problem with her body. Whenever she was with a man, she would feel unbearable pain. It was as if she had walked one round in hell. That kind of pain caused Kaianchi to be traumatized. The man wanted something from her. If she couldn't satisfy the man naturally wouldn't give her a lot of material things. Now that her family wanted her to marry, Kaianchi immediately thought of her body. If she married a hateful man who didn't care about her body and forced her, what would she do? At this time, Kaianchi thought of Wang Bo. Wang Bo never forced her. He was obedient to her. Even if it was to help with the housework, Kaianchi could accept it. Chapter 727. Ningxu didn't know how thick Kaianchi's skin was. She actually had the nerve to come back. It wasn't easy to get a divorce. What was the difference between asking her to come back and committing suicide? Kaianchi looked at Ningxu's cold and disdainful face and decided to show weakness. She just wanted to marry Wang Bo again. "I'll do the housework well in the future," Kaianchi said to Ningxu. "I won't interact with those men anymore. I swear." She really didn't want to marry into some unknown corner. What would she do if she met a bad man? In comparison, Wang Bo was much better. Her parents' attitude was very firm. They wanted her to get married, and Wang Bo was the best candidate. "Grandma, believe me, I've really changed. I won't do it again," Kaianchi said as she knelt down in front of Ningxu. Ningxu couldn't help but roll his eyes. They had already fallen out. How could Kaianchi have the nerve to come back? Why did she think that she still had a chance when others were still waiting for her? In the plot, she took the money and left, living a carefree life. Now that she wasn't living a good life, she wanted to come back. How could there be such a good thing? Ningxu pointed at Jiang Xiaoyu, who was standing not far away, and said, "This person will be Wang Bo's wife. As for you, go back to where you came from. It's impossible for you and Wang Bo to be together, even if the sky falls down," Ningxu said as he walked towards Jiang Xiaoyu. Jiang Xiaoyu looked at Ningxu from time to time. Ningxu smiled and said, Don't look at me. It's impossible for her and Wang Bo to be together. I only recognize you. Jiang Xiaoyu held Ning Shu's arm generously and said with a smile, Thank you, Auntie. When Ning Shu and Jiang Xiaoyu came back from grocery shopping, Kaianchi was still waiting downstairs. Kaianchi looked at Jiang Xiaoyu with piercing eyes. She wanted to walk towards Jiang Xiaoyu, but after 2 steps, she stopped when she saw Ning Shu staring at her coldly. Kaianchi stuck to Ning Shu's cold face. She didn't give up and waited downstairs for Wang Bo to come back. She wanted to talk to him. Jiang Xiaoyu leaned on the balcony and looked at Wang Bo and Kaianchi downstairs. Ning Shu walked over and looked down. As soon as Kaianchi approached Wang Bo immediately retreated to avoid Kaianchi. Seeing Wang Bo's attitude, Ning Shu felt a lot more at ease. He was afraid that Wang Bo's brain would be flooded with boiling water, and he would act stupid again. Kaianchi said something and excitedly tugged at Wang Bo's sleeve. Wang Bo shook off Kaianchi's hand and turned to enter the building. Letting out a long sigh, Jiang Xiaoyu looked at Ning Shu and awkwardly said, Wang Bo's ex-wife is beautiful, and I was afraid that Wang Bo would be soft-hearted. I won't. Ning Shu said, Let's not talk about how Kaianchi hurt Wang Bo. Wang Bo already has you now. Jiang Xiaoyu nodded. Hearing the sound of the door opening, Jiang Xiaoyu's eyes were filled with tears. As soon as Wang Bo opened the door, he saw Jiang Xiaoyu's sad expression. Wang Bo felt a little guilty. He went over and took Jiang Xiaoyu's hand and pulled her to the balcony to talk. He explained to Jiang Xiaoyu and promised her that he would never see Kaianchi again. Ning Shu smacked his lips. Small quarrels were fun. Jiang Xiaoyu's means were good. She didn't quarrel and expressed her grievances. Forcing a man to make a promise was different from a man taking the initiative to make a promise. Jiang Xiaoyu knew how to manage relationships. She was a girl with a high EQ. No wonder Wang Bo fell for her so easily. Unfortunately, in the plot, Wang Bo resigned from the company after the divorce. He was dispirited for a long time and found a new job. He missed Jiang Xiaoyu. However, with Wang Bo's dispirited appearance in the plot, Jiang Xiaoyu probably wouldn't like him. Who would like a soulless man? Kaianchi came to find Wang Bo several times, but Wang Bo avoided her. Kaianchi couldn't wait for Wang Bo and was very unhappy. Kaianchi's parents had already found a husband for Kaianchi. The man gave Kaianchi 10 to 20,000 yuan as a gift, and Kaianchi was stuffed into the car by her parents. Kaianchi was taken out of the city and married a man in his 30s. Kaianchi knew that her parents had sold her to this ugly man. He had dark skin, and she couldn't understand a word he said. As soon as they reached home, he forced her into a small house. Kaianchi was tortured by the man. She tried to escape, but the man caught her. She said that she was in pain, but the man ignored her. He thought that she was unwilling to come with him, and insisted on forcing Kaianchi to come with him. And he came very frequently, at least once a day. Kaianchi's face turned green. Seeing that Kaianchi always wanted to escape, the man locked Kaianchi's feet with a metal chain, so that she couldn't run. Kaianchi cried. Her mind was full of Wang Bo. At this time, she wasn't thinking about the romantic man with whom she used to be. The faces of those men were very blurry, but only Wang Bo's face was clear. The man she used to hate was the only person she could think of when she was in trouble. The man who took over the woman didn't explain. Ning Shu met with Jiang Xiaoyu's parents. Jiang Xiaoyu's parents were indifferent to Wang Bo. After all, their daughter liked him. Seeing that Wang Bo was honest, they agreed. Of course, Jiang Xiaoyu had done a lot of work. Wang Bo proposed to Jiang Xiaoyu, and Jiang Xiaoyu agreed very straightforwardly. Ning Shu began to discuss the wedding date with his future in-laws. He had to fulfill all aspects of etiquette. Ning Shu gave Jiang Xiaoyu a pair of heavy dragon and phoenix bracelets. Wang Bo and Jiang Xiaoyu were very busy. They were busy with the wedding, taking wedding photos, sending invitations, and rehearsing. Even Ning Shu was busy with the wedding. On the day of Wang Bo and Jiang Xiaoyu's wedding, Jiang Xiaoyu was wearing a wedding dress. The corners of her eyes were curved as she held Wang Bo's hand. Wang Bo lowered his head slightly and looked at Jiang Xiaoyu with a smile on his face. At this moment, Wang Bo was really handsome. Ning Shu swallowed a mouthful of dog food. The corners of his eyes were a little sore. In fact, life didn't need to be so thrilling, so magnificent, and so sentimental. It just needed to be simple and peaceful. There was no such thing as a half-dead, 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 half-alive, twisted and intense true love. In the end, only ashes were left of the burning love. Ding, quest completed. Do you want to leave the quest world? 2333's voice sounded in Ning Shu's mind. Ning Shu nodded. Yes. After a moment of dizziness, Ning Shu opened his eyes. He was already in the system space. Ning Shu lay on the sofa dispiritedly. Damn, it was so tiring. It was tiring to play mind games. It was better to just fight. If she was Wang Bo, she wouldn't care about this and that. She would just kick Kaianchi. 2333 said. Yang Zi asked me to thank you. She said thank you for what you did for her and her son. Ning Shu said. Oh, where is she? She went back. She went back to her body. 2333 said. Hearing this, Ning Shu was relieved. He lay on the bed and slept. Chapter 728. Ning Shu slept comfortably. When she woke up, she sat cross-legged on the bed and began to cultivate her peerless martial arts. After he finished cultivating, Ning Shu opened his status panel and looked at the points and attribute points he received from this mission. Number: 2333. Name: Ning Shu, Intermediate Mission Taker. Age: 27 points. 15 million/1. 5 million soul, 300 health, 71 wisdom, 224 charm, 10 luck, 54 spirit, 130 faith, 106450 martial strength, 142 aptitude, 59 merit, 103010 skills. 5th ring shooting technique, trash fighting technique, beginner level ultimate martial arts, beginner poison technique, beginner business management knowledge, beginner code programming, beginner lawyer skills honorary title, goddess of war selfless ancestor items, calm aura, faith aura, talisman 5 aura, mother of the world queen's blessing, model worker Chen. She's blessing, leader aura grass blessing, best friend, Miao Miao Miao's blessing, life-saving hand, Zhu Sunyang's blessing, completed Yang Zi's wish. Mission completion 100. Received 1. 5 million points, 40 attribute points, 50 faith, 10 merit points. This mission was not bad. Looking at the points now, he had more than 6 million, not far from 20 million. Ning Shu distributed the 40 attribute points to wisdom, luck, martial strength and spirit. Number: 2333. Name: Ning Shu, Intermediate Mission Taker. Age: 27 points. 15 million/1. 5 million soul, 300 health, 71 wisdom, 22410 charm, 10 luck, 5410 spirit, 13010 faith, 1114 martial strength, 14210 aptitude, 59 merit, 10040. After distributing the attribute points, Ning Shu said, I want to see Yang Zi's life back home. 2333 said okay, and the screen showed the life of Yang Zi's family. Yang Zi and Jiang Xiaoyu got along well. There was no tension between them. Everyone said that Jiang Xiaoyu met a good mother-in-law. Jiang Xiaoyu straightened her back and said that her mother-in-law was the best. This made Yang Zi a little embarrassed. She told everyone that her daughter-in-law was a good daughter-in-law. Others mocked Yang Zi, saying that as long as Yang Zi was a daughter-in-law, she would be a good daughter-in-law. Not long after Wang Bo and Jiang Xiaoyu got married, Jiang Xiaoyu got pregnant. Yang Zi took good care of Jiang Xiaoyu and made soup for her every few days. Yang Zi took Jiang Xiaoyu for a prenatal checkup. 9 months later, Jiang Xiaoyu gave birth to a girl. Yang Zi was not angry. At least, she did not have a granddaughter before. Yang Zi helped to take care of the child, and the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law took care of the child. Their views on educating the child were different, and there would be a little conflict. Wang Bo said that he would take care of the child. The mother-in-law and daughter-in-law immediately rolled their eyes. He couldn't even carry the child properly. How could he take care of the child? He could help, but if it was about taking care of the child, forget about it. Wang Bo learned how to change diapers for the child. When he made the milk powder, he let it warm. He took 2 sips and dripped it on the back of his hand to see if it was hot before feeding it to the child. Although there were some bumps and bruises in life, the days were still peaceful and warm. Ning Shu was completely relieved when he saw this. Without Kai Anchi interfering in their lives were stable and peaceful. Yang Zi and Wang Bo, who were honest people, could not get along with an arrogant woman like Kai Anchi. The auras of the two sides were incompatible. Yang Zi and Wang Bo were suppressed. After reading the rest of this world, Ning Shu took out the secret book of his peerless martial arts. He opened the secret book and added some chi force patterns to it. The patterns became more and more complicated. Previously they were animals. Now they developed into flowers, plants, and trees. There were even people who formed stars. The peerless martial arts were in full bloom in that world. It was probably something that could be found everywhere. The main thing was that there were no requirements for the peerless martial arts. As long as one could draw spiritual energy into the body and cultivate chi force, it would be fine. Ning Shu closed the secret book and lay on the sofa with his limbs spread out. Ning Shu asked, "How do you feel about this counterattack?" Ning Shu rolled his eyes. "It's quite tiring." 2333 said, "Counterattack is to counterattack the sad fate of the client. You can't destroy the client's advantage. If the client has a good reputation, you can't ruin the client's reputation. Do you understand?" Ning Shu said, "Oh. Fortunately, this mission did not ruin Yang Zi's reputation. Otherwise, the mission would have failed again." 2333 said, "Mission givers could not take revenge on others. The client gave their soul and wanted a good life. They could not leave a mess for the client." Ning Shu let out a long breath. Yang Zi was an honest person. She could not suddenly become vicious and torture her daughter-in-law. If she left behind a bad reputation, who would dare to marry Wang Bo? Even if Wang Bo was a good person? However, marriage was a matter between two families. If the future mother-in-law was a bad mother-in-law, no matter how good the man was, she would not marry. Ning Shu planned to go to the virtual space to see if there were any items, flower shop points, or faith power to exchange for some. It would be better for the mission. Ning Shu first opened the exchange store and browsed for a suitable item. Then he went to the virtual space to look for the same item. Maybe it would be cheaper. Ning Shu's finger swiped across the screen, browsing a variety of goods. Ning Shu's eyes were fixed on an item. This item was an upgraded version of the amulet. Not only could it resist the fate of being erased if the mission failed, but it could also prevent one from leaving the mission world. In other words, if one encountered an irresistible danger, one could still stay in the mission world and continue the mission. However, the price made Ning Shu's heart beat faster. It was too expensive. It actually costs 100 merit points. A normal amulet only costs 30 merit points. Ning Shu decisively closed the exchange store and went to the virtual space to see if it could be cheaper. After a moment of weightlessness, Ning Shu stood on the street in the virtual space. Ning Shu went to the item store to browse. He saw that the upgraded amulet in the store also costs 100 merit points. 100 merit points. Ning Shu asked the shop owner, "Can the upgraded version of the amulet be cheaper?" The shop owner sized up Ning Shu and asked tentatively, "You have so many merit points." Ning Shu said, "Actually, it's still a little short of 100 merit points, so I'm asking if you can make it cheaper." "How many merit points do you have?" Ning Shu asked. Ning Shu thought for a moment. 80 merit points. "No, the price difference with the exchange store is too big. It's impossible to exchange it for you." The shop owner refused directly. Ning Shu saw her firm attitude and knew that it was impossible to get this item for 80 merit points. He asked, "How much do you want?" "At least 95 merit points," the shop owner said. Chapter 729. In the end, Ning Shu bought this item with 95 merit points. After exchanging for this item, Ning Shu planned to go to the restaurant to eat. The food in the restaurant was really good. In the previous world he ate noodles all the time. Ning Shu felt that he didn't want to see noodles for a long time. Walking into the restaurant, Ning Shu picked an empty table and ordered a lot of dishes. As he was chewing on a drumstick, He felt some tremors under his feet. Ningxu didn't pay much attention to it. However, the tremors were getting stronger. The plates on the table were shaking, and the table kept shaking. Ningxu couldn't help but press on the table. It felt like the earth was shaking. Earthquake! Run quickly! Ningxu quickly rushed out of the restaurant and stood on the street. The bluestone slabs under his feet kept shaking, and the cracks in the bricks opened. Oh my God, what's going on? Ningxu couldn't help but look up at the sky. Then he saw a man in a black windbreaker flying across the sky. Ningxu narrowed his eyes. He looked a little familiar. This was the uncle. Perhaps he noticed Ningxu's gaze. The uncle glanced at Ningxu and flew away with the man beside him. Ningxu! It was the same look of disdain again. Sir. The waiter ran out of the restaurant and said to Ningxu, "Why did you run away?" Earthquake. Ningxu turned back, but he couldn't see the man in the black windbreaker anymore. The waiter smiled. "Sir, this is normal. The virtual space is a space created by a powerful person. If there's a lack of energy, this will happen. Someone from above will take care of it." Ningxu was speechless. Ningxu looked around. It was as if he was making a fuss about nothing. The people on the street were just doing what they were supposed to do. Even if the space collapses, the mission enforcers have the system space. They will be teleported back to the system space. Nothing will happen, the waiter said. Ningxu looked up at the sky. When he turned around and wanted to enter the restaurant, he heard a voice. All mission enforcers leave the virtual space. This voice did not belong to the uncle. The waiter looked surprised and said to Ningxu, "Dear customer, please leave the virtual space. I'll charge you half price for your food." Ningxu paid the bill and asked, "What's wrong?" "That's the voice of the manager of the virtual space. Something must have happened," the waiter said to Ningxu before turning around to get busy. The people on the street slowly left the virtual space. Ningxu also said to 2333, "Let's go." As soon as Ningxu finished speaking, the entire virtual space shook violently, directly throwing her out of the virtual space. Ningxu was speechless. Ningxu looked around. Everything around him was void. The uncle in a black windbreaker was standing in the void. Everything around him was void, which made him very obvious. In front of him was a plane of space, which should be the virtual space. He stretched out his hand, and the virtual space shrank and fell into the uncle's hand. The uncle clenched his hand. Ningxu's ears were filled with a loud sound, as if something was broken. Ningxu, he broke the space. He broke the virtual space. Ningxu's legs trembled as he looked at him in horror. The school doctor opened his hand, and the space fragments floated in the air. Finally, they rotated and gathered together, forming a new space. It grew bigger and bigger until it finally clung to the plane. After doing all this, the uncle turned around and looked at Ningxu. Ningxu saw a white light emitting from his glasses. He stood in the air and looked down at him. There was no wind around, but his clothes fluttered slightly. Ningxu really wanted to chop off his long legs. 2333 run. Ningxu said anxiously to 2333. Okay. 2333 immediately sent Ningxu back into the system space. The school doctor watched Ningxu disappear with an expressionless face. In a flash, she was gone. Ningxu returned to the system and slumped on the ground weakly. Her limbs were weak. Damn, was this person the school doctor uncle she knew? Did they just look alike? She didn't even dare to talk to him. It was too scary. She didn't even dare to greet him. She was afraid that this person would kill her instantly. Creating a space was like playing a game. Ningxu felt like he was going to have a nightmare. The uncle couldn't be this powerful. He had been plotted against before. These two people couldn't be the same person. 2333, you know him? Ningxu asked 2333. 2333 said angrily. I'm just a system. What do I know? Okay. 2333 was a piece of trash. Ningxu crawled on the floor and climbed onto the sofa. She lay on the sofa like a dead dog and asked, "Is there no more virtual space? Didn't you see that he made a new virtual space?" 2333 said angrily. Ningxu's mind was filled with the scene of the uncle destroying the virtual space. He couldn't help but cover his heart. When would she be so strong? This was what it meant to be strong. Ning Shu calmed himself down and took out a book from the bookshelf. After reading it, he watered the potted plant. When he had completely calmed down, Ning Shu said to 2333, "Let's see the next client." "Okay, before you meet the client, you have to make yourself look more professional. Look more trustworthy. Don't look like an idiot. They won't let you make a comeback." 2333 said, "I'm just concerned about you. Ning Shu, you're the idiot." A figure slowly appeared in the system space. It was a girl. She didn't look very old. She had neat bangs and wore loose clothes like a village girl from the 70s or 80s. She had a cloth bag slung over her body. Her eyes were very bright, and there was an inexplicable aura around her. Ning Shu greeted, "Hello." The girl said, "Hello, I'm Tao Qin. I'll be straightforward. I want you to make a comeback to destroy the Ghost King." Tao Qin said, "I'm a disciple of Mao Mountain. I met a human and ghost together, and I tried to stop them, but was destroyed by the Ghost King." Ning Shu, "They were together, they were in a relationship. Why did you try to stop them?" Ning Shu was a bit speechless. "Fahai, you don't understand love. What are you talking about? Humans and demons are different. The Ghost King is already another existence in the 6 realms of reincarnation. They can't be together. Then why didn't you choose to be with the beast?" Tao Qin said with her hands on her hips. "Ning Shu, ghosts were once humans. Are all Mao Mountain Taoists so troublesome?" Ning Shu couldn't help but ask. Why did they have to do such a thankless job? Tao Qin brushed her bangs and rolled her eyes. "Of course not. They just want to make a living with the sect. I went down the mountain to practice and got a business deal. In the end, the Ghost King was involved. I saw the Ghost King with a woman. A human and a ghost were having sex. How can that be?" Ning Shu, "I found a few people to make a comeback. They were supposed to subdue demons and ghosts. But in the end, they got involved with the Ghost King and fell in love with him." "Fuck," Tao Qin face-bombed. "That's a ghost. Although he's handsome, he's still a ghost." Chapter 730. Looking at Tao Qin's exasperated expression, Ning Shu could only say that she didn't understand love. Ning Shu said, "You're young, so you shouldn't be able to fight the Ghost King. Why did you get involved?" Tao Qin said, "I tried to get the woman with the Ghost King to leave him, so that the Yin Qi wouldn't enter my body and shorten my life. But I was killed by the Ghost King." Ning Shu, "You obviously couldn't bear to see them being lovey-dovey, so you made the female lead leave the male lead." Seeing Ning Shu's strange expression, Tao Qin spread out her hands and said, "People who live in the Jianghu are bound to suffer. I can accept that I was killed because I wasn't strong enough, but the Ghost King killed everyone in my faction." Ning Shu, maybe he wanted to eliminate the source of trouble. I can accept that. But why did he devour the souls of my faction and make them disappear without a chance of reincarnation?" Ning Shu, he must have wanted to eliminate the source of trouble. Tao Qin looked at Ning Shu. "Can you counterattack?" "I can't guarantee it." Ning Shu asked, "How powerful is the Ghost King?" Tao Qin said faintly, "The 1,000-year Ghost King." Ning Shu, "Help me counterattack, but don't fall in love with the Ghost King." Tao Qin told Ning Shu, "I'm telling you, the Ghost King's power isn't something that ordinary people can withstand. Don't do anything with the Ghost King, or you might not even have a chance of reincarnation." Ning Shu, "Why did she say that she would fall in love with the Ghost King?" "You didn't fall in love with the Ghost King, so how can I fall in love with him?" Ning Shu said, somewhat speechless. Tao Qin said, "That's because in my eyes he's an evil creature. He's already so old, but he's always hitting on women, as if he hasn't seen a woman in thousands of years." Ning Shu, "Anyway, it was true that the male lead couldn't control himself when he saw the female lead. Counterattack well, I'll be watching you." Tao Qin patted Ning Shu's shoulder and disappeared. Ning Shu was speechless. "Fuck, I refuse. I can't beat a 1,000-year-old ghost." "Is the deal done?" Ning Shu asked. "It's done." 2333 said, "This is the last time she will be looking for someone to counterattack. You are the last one. If you still can't counterattack, this mid-level mission will be handed over to a high-level mission taker. Who will counterattack? Fuck, I didn't agree. Ning Shu almost jumped up. Isn't it just collecting ghosts? 2333 said. If you're so good, then go ahead and do it. I'm doing the quest, and you're just watching. Ning Shu let out a deep sigh. If he wanted to complete a quest, then so be it. Ning Shu opened up the system exchange store, in exchange for fasting pills, water, and basic medicines. Thinking that there would definitely be a lot of ghosts in this world, he decided to bring the Soul Pearl with him. At least with the Soul Pearl, the ghosts wouldn't dare to get close to him. After thinking about it, he decided to see if there were any exorcism charms. It would be best if he could escape. If he couldn't win, then he had to run. If he was killed like Tao Qin, how could he counterattack? Ning Shu exchanged for some charms. Looking at the other artifacts, they were all gray. Obviously, they couldn't be exchanged. With the Soul Pearl and charms, he felt a bit safer. However, Ning Shu had a question in his heart. How heaven-defying was this Ghost King to be able to mesmerize the mission taker? She couldn't help but start a heart-wrenching human-ghost love story. After finishing these things, Ning Shu said, "You can enter the quest now." Okay. 2333 reminded Ning Shu, "Don't fall in love with the Ghost King. If you do, you will fail the quest. Tao Qin can't bear to see this." Ning Shu, "Stupid girl Fahai, you really don't understand love." Ning Shu felt a wave of dizziness. She felt her soul entering a body. She waited until her soul had completely merged with the body. Ning Shu opened his eyes and looked around. He was lying on a brick bed. The room was very simple and had a bit of an ancient style. Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the bed. He wanted to see how much spiritual energy there was in this world. However, he was disappointed. After all, this was a modern world. Fortunately, with the support of his peerless martial arts, Ning Shu cultivated a strand of energy the size of a strand of hair. It looked very shabby. Ning Shu stopped cultivating and started to accept the plot. This was the story of a domineering ghost king falling in love with me. The female lead, Song Shihan, was a white-collar worker. She casually bought a piece of jade on the antique street. Then she experienced a series of strange things. She was haunted by a male ghost wearing red clothes. This male ghost was always by her side. She went to work by his side, helping him to make things difficult for her boss. When she was bathing, a handsome man suddenly appeared in the bathtub. When she woke up in the morning, she saw an extremely handsome face facing her. Song Shihan was teased until her ears turned red. Her heart was rippling. She endured the ghost King Feng Yin's handsome face doing all kinds of shameless things to her. If it wasn't for his handsome face, she would have called the police. There was a reason why Feng Yin treated Song Shihan so well. This involved their past lives and the lives before them. In any case, it was unknown how many lives it had been. Feng Yin and Song Shihan were a pair of ill-fated lovebirds. They loved each other so much that the heavens fell and the earth cracked. For some reason, the female lead died in the previous life. Feng Yin committed suicide for love and became the powerful ghost king. After 1,000 years, the female lead reincarnated. Finally, the female lead appeared. Now it was time to continue their relationship. Tao Qin, the idiot, ran to stop the touching love and was killed by Feng Yin. She even implicated her master and fellow apprentices. Tao Qin, the senior apprentice sister, felt very guilty. After Ning Shu accepted the plot, he sighed. Tao Qin didn't blame the Ghost King for killing her. After all, if one was weak, they should be prepared to be killed. She couldn't accept that the people in her sect didn't hurt the Ghost King and Song Shihan. The Ghost King even destroyed the entire sect and caused everyone's souls to scatter. Ning Shu continued to cultivate his peerless martial arts. The stronger he became, the harder he would be to be killed. Senior apprentice sister, it's time to eat. If you're late, you won't have anything to eat. A young male voice came from outside. Ning Shu stopped cultivating. When he opened the door, he saw a boy taller than him. He was chewing on a steamed bun in his hand. Ning Shu hurried to the place to eat. If he was late, the steamed bun would really be eaten up by these calves. The place where Ning Shu stayed was an abandoned Taoist temple. It could not be said that it was abandoned, but there were no pilgrims coming here to offer incense. Only Tao Qin's master brought a group of homeless children to learn the Maoshan techniques. Life passed by bitterly. When Ning Shu reached the kitchen, he saw a group of radish heads around the table. They were of different ages. Most of them were boys, but there were also two little girls with braids and missing front teeth. The most eye-catching one was sitting at the head of the table. He had a beard and a shameless bun on his head. At this moment, he was burping and picking his teeth. When Ning Shu saw this old man, a sour feeling arose in his heart. Chapter 731. Ning Shu greeted his master. The old man's name was Tao Cheng, and he was the successor of Mao Mountain's ghost hunters. The disciples in the room were all adopted by him. These children were all orphans. With the development of society, Mao Mountain's Taoist techniques were all superstitions. They were all scammers. Who would want their children to learn this? Tao Cheng found orphans and passed down the Mao Mountain's Taoist techniques, which were already very weak. Life was not good. Tao Cheng looked at Ning Shu, raised his eyebrows and chuckled. I woke up late today. I finished eating. Ning Shu saw that the table was full of bones. The children were still eating steamed buns dipped in meat soup. The meat soup must have been caught by Tao Cheng in the mountains. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. I'll eat the steamed buns. Ning Shu reached out his hand. The last steamed bun in the big bowl was snatched by a child. Ning Shu was speechless. The kid was eating the old man dry. Tao Cheng raised more than 10 children. It was really hard. Tao Qin was also raised by Tao Cheng. From time to time, Tao Cheng would bring Tao Qin to protect, deceive people, kidnap, cheat. Tao Cheng was also very capable. He just liked to pretend a little. He wanted people to pay him a high price. The money he earned was not even enough to feed a large family of calves. A little boy saw that Ning Shu had nothing to eat. He tore half of a steamed bun and gave it to Ning Shu. Ning Shu took it and ate it. Good boy. When senior sister comes out of the temple, I'll bring you a gift. Tao Cheng rubbed his chest. Ning Shu said, there is something I need you to do. Ning Shu stuffed the steamed bun into his mouth and asked Tao Cheng, Master, what is it? Tao Cheng stood up, burped, and walked towards the main hall of the Taoist temple. Ning Shu followed Tao Cheng into the main hall. The Taoist temple was very old, and had not been repaired for a long time. The statues of the 3 pure ones in the main hall seemed to be covered with a layer of dust. There was a smaller statue, next to the 3 pure ones. This should be the founder of Mao Mountain, Tao Hongjing. Tao Cheng waved in front of the statue, and lit 2 sticks of incense. Ning Shu also followed suit and did the same. Ning Shu asked Tao Cheng, Old man, what's the matter? Tao Cheng touched the bun on his head and said, You are already 20 years old. It's time for you to go out and gain experience. Recently, an acquaintance came to find me. He has a business deal. If he succeeds, the money will be quite a bit. It will be enough for us to support ourselves for a while. Tao Cheng said. Acquaintances? What happened? Ning Shu asked. Tao Cheng said, Recently his son has been possessed by a ghost and is half dead. His family is quite rich. Ning Shu thought for a moment. It should be related to Ghost King Feng Yin. Damn, I'm a little scared. Since it was dressed in red, it was obvious that it was a malicious ghost. However, Tao Cheng was no match for Yin Zhen. Since then, the Dao techniques of northern Maoshan were lost, and there was no successor. Otherwise, they wouldn't be implicated in this matter. Ning Shu and Tao Cheng asked, Old man, aren't you going? If you go out to gain experience, why would I go? Tao Cheng rubbed his chest and rubbed out some mud balls. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Ning Shu said, Old man, what if I encounter danger? Help me read my fortune. I don't feel good this time. Tao Cheng raised his eyebrows and took out a copper coin. He muttered something and read Ning Shu's fortune. 3 copper coins fell on the table. One of them cracked. Tao Cheng's expression changed drastically. Tao Cheng picked up the cracked copper coin. Could it be something powerful? I just read it a little, and even the copper coin is broken. Ning Shu said, We won't accept this business deal. It's too dangerous. Tao Cheng touched his head and nodded. We'll talk about this later. We'll talk about the training later. Ning Shu nodded. Tao Cheng said, Go to the back of the mountain and get some game. We really can't afford to raise these children. Okay, I'll go get it, Ningxu said. Bring it back. I want to test your recent homework. Tao Cheng left with his hands behind his back. Ningxu saw that he was full of worry. Obviously, the divination just now made him worry. Ningxu went to the back of the Taoist temple to see if there was any game. He didn't find any game, but he did find some wild fruits. Ningxu had only eaten half a steamed bun. He was hungry and picked some wild fruits to eat. The fruits were not tasty and were very bitter. Ningxu ate 2 and gave up. They only managed to catch 2 rabbits and nothing else. It was not easy to raise this group of children. Ningxu carried a rabbit ear in each hand and returned to the temple. Tao Cheng was making a group of children get into the horse stance. Tao Cheng saw Ningxu carrying 2 rabbits. He rolled his eyes and said, "Why are there only 2 skinny rabbits?" Ningxu said angrily, "We've eaten most of the things around here. It's good enough to have 2 rabbits." Ningxu saw that the children's clothes were not good. They were very old. The younger children's clothes were a little big and did not fit. Obviously, they were wearing clothes that the older children could not wear. Ningxu face-bombed. How did they end up like this? People like Tao Cheng who knew a little about the outside world must be honored guests of high officials and nobles. It was not that there were no ghosts in this world. People believed in science, but not everyone believed in science. Ningxu skinned the rabbits and cleaned their innards. He threw them into the pot and boiled them until the meat was soft and turned into broth. He took out the bones. He made a pot of dough balls with the broth. This thing was very good at suppressing hunger. At noon, each of them had a bowl of meat soup with a sprinkle of salt. It tasted pretty good, and everyone ate happily. Ningxu looked at the child and understood Tao Chen's feelings of wanting to counterattack. The master who had raised her was killed, and his soul scattered. As for these children who had been abandoned since young, they did not know who their parents were. They were killed when they were in their teens. The younger ones were only 7 or 8 years old, and their souls were scattered as well. Their souls were given to Feng Yin to strengthen him. Tao Chen was just an obstacle in the path of Feng Yin and Song Shihan's love. After killing the meddlesome Taoist priest, he was afraid that these Taoist priests would nag and urge his woman to leave him. He might as well kill them all. He could ensure his woman's safety and strengthen his soul. In short, these dozens of lives showed that the male lead was the most powerful person in the world. He doted on the female lead. If humans bullied the female lead, he would kill them. If ghosts bullied the female lead, he would devour them and their souls would scatter. In any case, he was invincible. After lunch, Ningxu returned to his room to cultivate. Only when he was strong could he protect this sect. After cultivating Qijin, he was much stronger and more agile. With the talismans he had exchanged, and the spirit pearl that could absorb souls, he would probably be able to escape if he encountered a ghost king. Although Ningxu wanted to avoid the love between Feng Yin and Song Shihan, he could not avoid the plot just because he wanted to. Ningxu let out a long breath. Feng Yin was a cheat. He even had a group of ghosts under him. The other ghosts would tremble when they saw him. In short, he was the domineering CEO of the ghost world. If he said he would kill you, he would kill you. Chapter 732. Ningxu intensified his cultivation. Fortunately, the Taoist temple was located in a sparsely populated area surrounded by mountains and forests. The scenery was beautiful, and the spiritual qi was slightly more abundant than in a big city with a lot of car exhaust. It was a suitable place for retirement. There was a village at the foot of the Taoist temple, but it was a very poor and backward village. Occasionally, people in the village would come to the old man when they encountered something supernatural. The compensation would be some sweet potatoes or pumpkins, or a chicken if they were better off. The old man would bring Tao Chen every time, and let her learn how to exorcise ghosts. If it was a better family in town, the old man would put on an act and say that the ghost's murderous aura was too strong, and they had to quickly get rid of it. If they scared the people, they would be paid more. Even so, he still couldn't stand it. There were more than 10 mouths in the house, and they were all half-grown children. When they were growing, they were like bottomless pits. The old man originally wanted to mold the statues of the 3 pure ones and the Maoshan sect's ancestors into golden bodies, but the conditions were too difficult. The development of technology made the survival of metaphysics smaller and smaller. Now the old man didn't want to carry forward the Maoshan technique. He only wanted it to be passed down, so that it wouldn't completely disappear in the long river of history. The old man's painstaking efforts were ruined by Tao Qin. It was also because Tao Qin was young. If this was done by an old man with decades of experience, things wouldn't be so bad. Ghost King Feng Yin suddenly came to the Taoist temple. The old man wanted to protect the child, and Feng Yin was extremely powerful. The old man and the child were killed by the Ghost King, and their souls scattered. Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the bed and cultivated. He felt fine spiritual qi flowing into his pores, and finally gathering in his energy center. "Girl, come here." The old man's voice was very loud. Ning Shu heard it in the room. He stopped cultivating, and went to find the old man. When he arrived at the main hall, he saw the old man wearing a half-new Taoist robe. His hair was also combed into a new bun. He looked like a righteous old Taoist. Seeing him like this, Ning Shu knew there was business. Ning Shu asked, "What business is it this time?" The old man said, "It's about what happened in the village. I don't know what's bothering him, but he hasn't woken up yet." The old man looked at Ning Shu and rolled his eyes. "This time you're the host. See what you've learned." Ning Shu braced himself and said, "Oh, okay." Now, was she going to become a ghost-catching Taoist? The old man brought him down the mountain and arrived at a house. As soon as he entered the courtyard, Ning Shu felt a cold aura and his hair stood on end. The old man stood in the yard and observed his surroundings. Ning Shu also looked around. This was an ordinary farmyard. There was a locust tree in the yard, and there was a well under the locust tree. Ning Shu walked into the well and looked inside. The well was under the locust tree, and the light was blocked by the branches. It was dark inside, and he couldn't see the well water. The locust tree was a little big, and almost covered half of the small yard. Standing under the tree, it was very cool and even cold. The owner led the old man and Ning Shu into the house. When they entered the house, they saw a woman lying on the bed. Her face was very pale, and there was a faint black qi between her eyebrows. The old man pretended to pinch his fingers, and his eyes were half closed. Then he said to Ning Shu, who was staring at the woman, "Go and take a look." Ning Shu walked over, picked up the woman's hand and felt her pulse. The woman was about 50 years old. Ning Shu felt her pulse, and found that there was a serious blood loss in her body. In short, she had lost too much blood. Ning Shu checked her body, and found that there were no big wounds on her body. It was impossible for her to lose too much blood. "Immortal Master, how is my old woman?" the woman's husband asked the old man. The old man was calm and composed. "There will be results soon." Ning Shu looked at the old man and asked, "Master, how did this happen? Everything in the world has spirituality. Think carefully." The old man Ning Shu said. Ning Shu knew that the old man wanted him to solve it. However, this should be caused by some strange thing. Ning Shu dipped his finger in cinnabar, and called up the memory of the original owner of the body, drawing talismans to exorcise evil spirits. Then he drew a talisman on the woman's forehead. However, Ning Shu had never drawn a talisman before. He failed the first time. Ning Shu turned his head and looked at the old man. The old man was expressionless. He stood there and looked like a celestial being. Ning Shu dipped his finger in cinnabar again. He took a deep breath and began to draw. This time he barely managed to draw. The cinnabar penetrated the woman's skin. The woman suddenly felt uncomfortable. Black qi rolled out from between her eyebrows. She opened her mouth and screamed. Her hands and feet danced together. The blue veins on her body bulged and twisted like the roots of a tree. It looked very scary. "Quickly hold her down," Ning Shu said to the woman's husband. Then, he took out a talisman from the cloth bag and nailed it between the woman's eyebrows. Unexpectedly, the talisman slowly turned black and finally burned. The blood vessels on the woman's body became more obvious. Small blood vessels spread out around the large blood vessels. Blood vessels appeared on the surface of the entire body. Ning Shu almost jumped back. "Damn, what kind of thing is this?" Ning Shu grabbed a handful of glutinous rice and pressed it on the woman's forehead. The glutinous rice made a sizzling sound and emitted black qi. It was as if the glutinous rice was about to be burned. In the end, the woman couldn't take it anymore and fainted. The woman's husband was so anxious that his eyes turned red. His hands were trembling. Ning Shu wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He heard the locust tree at the door rustling. Looking through the window, there were many ghosts. Ning Shu felt that it should be related to the tree. This tree sucked the woman's blood. "Immortal master, please save my wife," the old man begged the old man. Ning Shu moved to the old man's side and asked, "Master, what should we do now? Aren't you the one exorcising the evil?" The old man said calmly, "Ning Shu, your disciples' claws are numb now. Hurry up and help." Ning Shu walked out of the room. He looked at the locust tree that was swaying without wind. The branches were swaying. It was fucking a spirit. Ning Shu said to the man, "Get some rooster blood." The old man quickly killed the rooster in the chicken pen and got half a bowl of chicken blood. Ning Shu took out the things in his cloth bag and prepared to set up a formation. This formation was something that Ning Shu learned from Qingyu. It was the Yang gathering formation from the cultivation world. Because there were no Dharma artifacts or spirit stones, this formation wasn't very effective. However, it was more than enough to deal with the tree. After the Yang gathering formation was completed, the surroundings became bright. The previously gloomy courtyard was now blindingly bright. The locust tree's leaves started to curl up under the strong light. Black qi slowly emitted from the leaves. The tree kept rustling and emitting a strange sound. It sounded like a person was roaring in pain. As expected, it was the tree's doing. Ning Shu sprinkled a handful of glutinous rice and chicken blood. He injected a bit of energy and used a thick cinnabar brush to draw a talisman on the tree trunk. Chapter 733. As Ning Shu drew the talisman, the locust tree shook even more violently. It actually broke the branches on its body and smashed them at Ning Shu. "Last dodge it," shouted Ning Shu. Ning Shu dodged in a flash and saw that the broken branches of the locust tree were bleeding. The entire yard was filled with the stench of blood. It was sticky and thick. Under the effects of the Yang gathering array and the talisman, the locust tree shook even more violently. Its body emitted a thick black gas. There were no leaves, only a bare tree trunk. Its body was pitch black, but it was still stubbornly resisting. "Ah!" The woman in the room suddenly screamed. Ning Shu hurried back to the room and saw the woman sitting on the bed. Her hair was standing up, her lips were purple, and her eyes were protruding. Her eyeballs were bloodshot. She vomited smelly blood. The old man saw that something was wrong and pushed Ning Shu away. He reached into the bowl of chicken blood and pressed his blood-stained hand on the woman's face. He said to Ning Shu, "Dip it in blood and draw a talisman on her foot." Ning Shu didn't say a word. He held the woman's ankle tightly with one hand and drew a talisman on her foot with the other. The woman struggled violently, trying to break free from Ning Shu's hand. She kicked Ning Shu with her other foot, but the man beside her hurriedly pressed down on the woman's foot. "Draw on her foot and her leg," said Ning Shu as the old man tapped the woman's forehead. Ning Shu drew a dense number of talismans on her leg as black gas emitted from her body. The locust tree outside suddenly creaked and split in half. The woman's eyes rolled back and she fainted. Ning Shu was still drawing talismans. The black gas emitted from the woman's body became thicker and thicker, but the blood vessels on her body slowly disappeared. Ning Shu wanted to train his talisman drawing ability, so he drew talismans on every part of the woman's body. "Dig up this tree and uproot it," said the old man. The old man said, "The locust tree is the ghost of the wood. It's a ghost tree. The heavy yin energy will easily attract ghosts. Don't plant this kind of tree around the house." The man first asked the old man, "Is my old woman okay?" "Rest well. Stick these talismans on the door." Ning Shu took out 2 talismans from the cloth bag. The man took the talisman and looked for a few men in the neighborhood. Some of them held hoes, while others held shovels. They began to dig the roots. The locust tree's roots were deeply rooted, extending across half of the courtyard. When the tree bark was broken, it would bleed black blood. This black blood was something that even flies wouldn't bite. It smelled fishy and evil. The old man tidied up his Taoist robe and said, "This poor Taoist will leave first." The man immediately thanked the old man and asked, "How did my wife get targeted by this tree?" Actually, Ning Shu was quite curious. Why did the locust tree find a woman? Could it be because women had attributes? The old man said indifferently, "In fact, this locust tree is like this because of your wife. Your wife was menstruating, and the blood from the menstrual cloth was poured on the tree. A woman's menstrual water is something with heavy energy. Moreover, it's something dirty in the body. The locust tree is a ghost tree. After absorbing this, it naturally treats your wife as a provider." The old man looked at the chicken in the courtyard and stroked his beard. He had the demeanor of an immortal and said, "This chicken also suffered an unexpected calamity. It should be released from purgatory." The man quickly gave the rooster to the old man. The old man took it and shook his head with pity. He stuffed it into Ning Shu's arms. The man gave her 2 pumpkins the size of a millstone. Ning Shu carried the 2 pumpkins out of the yard and asked the old man, "How do you know that it was caused by the blood of the woman who washed the menstrual cloth?" Although there were sanitary pads now, in a poor and backward village like this, women were still reluctant to spend money to buy sanitary pads that were thrown away after one use. The old man looked at Ning Shu in annoyance. "Why are you so unfamiliar with exorcism this time? In our line of work, we have to have good eyesight and pay attention to our surroundings. Taoist magic is not some feudal superstition. It's about observing the layout and analyzing it to deduce the good and bad of the place. There's a well under the locust tree. It's convenient to wash clothes by the well. How can there be no problems after decades of watering?" The old man shook his head and said, "It's just that the locust tree's roots are very deep. The water in the well is also not clean. The locust tree is a tree that grows through coffins. If this tree wasn't planted by humans, there would probably be a grave within a meter." Ning Shu _ master is so awesome. Then why didn't you tell him? Ning Shu asked. The old man looked at Ning Shu as if he was looking at rotten wood. "I already told him. Even if it's just one job, if he really dug up something, he would definitely come to me. That's 2 jobs and 2 rewards. Are you stupid? If you dig up a grave, you have to ask the ancestors to leave. If you want to look at feng shui, it's a big business. You have to dig up a grave." Ning Shu was speechless. As expected, he was still too inexperienced. What happened just now made Ning Shu feel that the world was very dangerous. If a tree could be like this, there was no need to talk about the Ghost King. "What array formation did you use just now?" the old man asked Ning Shu. He thought for a while but still couldn't remember. Ning Shu had already thought of an excuse. "Isn't this the spirit trapping array that you taught me? Can't I tell if it's a spirit trapping array or not?" the old man said in annoyance. Ning Shu thought for a while and finally said, "I must have made a mistake. In the end, it ended up like that." The old man patted Ning Shu's head heavily. "I told you to go and gain experience. Look at you experience, my ass. You'll be played to death by evil things." Ning Shu sighed. When they returned to the Taoist temple, the old man asked Ning Shu to hurry up and stew the rooster with the pumpkin. "Master, aren't you going to release it?" Ning Shu squinted. "You talk too much." The old man hurriedly changed out of his half-new Taoist robe and changed into his usual work clothes. Seeing the old man like this, Ning Shu's heart ached. He wasn't in the mood to bicker with the old man and went to the kitchen to prepare the rooster. Some of the junior brothers and sisters picked up some firewood from the mountains and neatly stacked it in the woodshed. These children were quite sensible and helped when they could. The slightly older children carried buckets of water to the spring in the back of the mountain to fetch water. Ning Shu stewed the chicken in the pot and poured the pumpkin in after it was done. Anyway, this was how a big pot of rice was. Whether it tasted good or not was secondary, as long as it could fill their stomachs. Now even filling their stomachs was a little difficult. Ning Shu cooked another pot of noodles with some dough balls mixed in. The rooster was so small that it was good enough that each person could eat a piece of meat. The old man and Ning Shu didn't touch the meat and left it for the younger children. After eating, Ning Shu asked, Are the Mao Mountain Taoists living such a hard life now? Is South Mao Mountain like this too? Mao Mountain was divided into North Mao Mountain and South Mao Mountain. The ancestors of the two sects were not the same person, but they both practiced the 5 Taoist techniques. The 5 Taoist techniques included mountain, medicine, fate, physiognomy, and divination. Chapter 734. The 5 arts of Taoism had thousands of techniques. For example, acupuncture, medicinal powder, and pills to treat diseases, all of which had the shadow of Taoism's mysterious techniques. Looking at the feng shui of the yin and yang residents, fortune-telling, and predicting good or bad luck, it was not easy to master one. Ning Shu could not figure out why the old man was so miserable. He was also a person with real ability. In fact, the richer a person was, the more they believed in these things. Things like fate and destiny were hard to predict. A person's physiological magnetic field was changing at any time. The old man stroked his beard and said proudly, "Your master was your age, and had already gone out to make a living. His clients were all high-ranking officials and rich people. At that time he made a lot of money. Alas, when he was young. Alas, your master was also a man. You know." Ning Shu was speechless. What do you know? He probably spent all his money on women. You're a Taoist. How can you face the ancestors of the 3 pure ones? How can you face the internal fist technique that you practice? Would it kill you to be a virgin? You're simply shameless and unrestrained. It would be better if the internal fist technique was practiced by a virgin. Besides, there was enough yang qi. A virgin's urine had a great restraining effect on ghosts. When a virgin's urine was needed, one could get it by unbuttoning one's pants. Ning Shu complained about the old man in his heart. People in this line of work are all divulging the secrets of heaven and offending the 5 evil spirits. Most of them are alone. Sometimes, they have to do some outrageous things. The old man stroked his beard. Later, because I offended someone, I thought that I'm not young anymore and have to pass on the Maoshan technique. The old man looked at Ning Shu. When I found you, you were still a little girl with a runny nose. See, when you're young, you'll have to suffer when you're old. The old man coughed and said, "The array you used before was not bad. By accident, you could gather the yang qi of heaven and earth. Record it and pass it on when the time comes." "I got it," Ning Shu said. It would be easier to deal with ghosts if he wanted to keep all the arrays he had learned. If you delay the training, I'll be worried about you. The old man said, "Learn from me for a while more. Your technique of drawing charms is much more rusty than before." She and Tao Qin were not the same person. How could she be skilled in drawing talismans? It was already good enough that she was able to draw it on her first try. Ning Shu wrote down the yang congregating array that he had previously used in the book. Then he flipped through various Taoist books. All kinds of knowledge were recorded in Ning Shu's mind. Fortunately, he had added so many attribute points to wisdom. Although he couldn't achieve eidetic memory, he could still remember something after looking at it twice. Ning Shu was reading when a hand suddenly patted her shoulder. She turned around and saw a boy who was taller than her and had fluffy lips. He was still in puberty. The boy's name was Tao Sheng. Tao Qin was the oldest, and he was the second oldest. Usually, Tao Qin would go out with the old man to earn money, and Tao Sheng would take care of the matters in the Taoist temple. He was the king of children. "Senior sister, what are you looking at?" Tao Sheng's voice was not pleasant to hear, but he deliberately lowered his voice, which made it even worse. Although her looks were not bad, her voice was unbearable. "I'm reading," Ning Shu said. Tao Sheng sat next to Ning Shu and asked, "What happened to master and senior sister this time?" Ning Shu said, "A locust tree that can suck human blood." Tao Sheng said, "Oh." Ning Shu said, "Senior sister, I want to go with you and master next time. Tell master about this. Bear with it for a while. I'm going to experience it soon. At that time, you and master will go out to do business." Ning Shu knew that Tao Sheng also wanted to exorcise evil spirits and catch ghosts. Tao Sheng picked up a book and flipped through it quickly. He didn't even read it. Less than 2 days later, the old man who had turned the locust tree into a spirit in the yard came again. He found Tao Chung and said that he had dug up something at the foot of the yard wall. It was a rotten coffin. The old man was suddenly in high spirits. He put on his Taoist robe, picked up the peachwood sword and compass, and called Ning Shu to prepare for a big deal. Tao Xing said to the old man, "Master, take us with you. We can take a look." Ning Shu said, "Take them with you. I'll take care of them. Besides, Tao Xing is not young anymore. He can help out." The old man glanced at the group of uneven turnips and said to Ning Shu, "Take good care of them. Don't bump into anything." The group of people immediately cheered and followed behind the old man. The old man suddenly felt that these children had ruined his sage-like charm and professionalism. When they arrived at the old man's house, the locust tree had been dug up. The soil of the whole yard had been dug up again. The rotten coffin was exposed under the yard wall. Only a corner of the coffin was exposed. Obviously, the old man didn't dare to dig anymore. The old man asked someone to prepare a table. On the table there was an incense burner, a peachwood sword, a compass, glutinous rice, chicken blood and talisman paper. Ning Shu looked at the things on the table and silently memorized them. This was the first time the children had seen such a scene. They were nervous and afraid. They knew that they would have to do such things in the future, but they were still afraid of ghosts. The old man called the few families that were next to the old man's house over and said, "Although this coffin was discovered here, it's still next to your house. You have to invite the ancestors to leave together." The surrounding families agreed and said that they would pool money together to find a place with good feng shui for the ancestors. Ning Shu watched from the side and felt that the old man was definitely afraid that the old man's family wouldn't have enough money, so he had deliberately pulled a few families to pool money together. The old man began to perform the ritual with a sage-like demeanor. Ning Shu stared intently at the old man. He watched as his face turned pale after he performed the ritual. Ning Shu hurriedly brought the water to the old man. After drinking a mouthful of water, the old man said, "Dig out the ancestors. Be careful not to damage the coffin. Just dig up the surrounding soil." The old man chose a few men with tougher life providences to dig up the soil. The process of digging up the soil was very slow. The main reason was that the coffin was too decayed. It felt like it would shatter with a single touch. The bones in the coffin were probably the same. It wasn't easy for a coffin to be dug out, but another coffin was dug out. When the old man saw another coffin appear, his expression turned ugly. However, he still said, "Continue digging." However, more and more coffins were dug out. Up to now there were already 5. Furthermore, some of the coffins even had skeletons under them. The deeper they dug, the more skeletons there were. There were also bows, rusty sabers, and helmets scattered around. Now even the courtyard walls had been pushed down, but there were more and more skeletons. The old man pinched his fingers as they trembled. He hurriedly stopped them from continuing digging. "Stop digging. This might be a burial of 10,000 people." The old man hurriedly performed the ritual. His expression was extremely ugly. Ning Shu frowned as well. A burial of 10,000 people meant that many people were buried together. It would distort the magnetic field in this place, forming an exceptionally terrifying scene. Chapter 735. No one had expected so many bones to be dug out. Even the old man did not expect it. There was no way to move so many bones. Furthermore, the bones were mixed together. It was impossible to tell whose thigh bone was whose. There were also long centipedes crawling out of the black eye sockets. The air was filled with an unpleasant smell. The old man hurriedly got people to disperse and cover their noses to avoid the smell. Ning Shu led the group of children far away. The old man's face turned green. He could not help but rub his forehead. After dispersing the smell for a while, he got someone to fill the hole. The old man asked the old man, "What should we do with these bones?" The old man furrowed his brows. "Bury it. The safest thing now is for you to move. Don't live here anymore," the old man said. "Choose a new place to build a house. The surrounding families should move. Look for me to check the feng shui of the Yang residence," the old man said. There were so many dead people under their feet. Just thinking about it made them panic. The surrounding families all asked the old man to check the feng shui of their houses. They wanted to move. Although this deal was over, the old man asked them to move quickly. They definitely had to check the feng shui of the new house. After the soil was buried, the old man swept some glutinous rice on the soil and added an array formation. After doing all this, the old man packed up his things with a worried expression and prepared to return. Ning Shu followed behind the old man with a group of children. Ning Shu was deeply puzzled. He asked the old man, "Master, this doesn't look like a burial of 10,000 people." The surroundings of a burial of 10,000 people would gather baneful aura and resentment. Once a person fell into such a magnetic field, they would either go crazy or die. It could be said that there were no birds in the mountains and no traces of humans. However, there were a few families living in the surrounding area. There was nothing abnormal. There was basically no baneful aura or resentment. It was too unusual. With so many people buried here, there will definitely be resentment. The old man frowned. Ning Shu asked, "Then where did all the resentment and evil aura go? Could it be that someone else absorbed it? That's what I'm worried about." The old man sighed. "This evil aura will give birth to something." Ning Shu instantly thought of Ghost King Feng Yin, who could devour souls. After returning to the Taoist temple, the old man changed out of his Taoist robe with a worried expression. Ning Shu said, "Master, do you want me to check the county records and see what the history of this 10,000 burial is?" "Master, how long do you think this 10,000 burial has been going on for?" Ning Shu asked. The old man stroked his beard. "Looking at the extent of the corrosion of his bones, I reckon he's not that old." Ning Shu frowned. There was no such thing in the storyline. At this time, Tao Qin had already gone out to train and never returned. He didn't know that there was such a place. Ning Shu felt that it was necessary for him to check the county records. In this pit, there were not only human bones, but also fragments of armor, swords, spears, and arrows. It was very likely that an ancient army was buried here. 1,000 years ago, Feng Yin had killed many people in anger to avenge the female lead. After that, he committed suicide for love. Perhaps Feng Yin's bones were in those coffins. All sorts of thoughts flashed through Ning Shu's mind. He wanted to check the county records, but he didn't have the connections. Ning Shu said, "Master, let's go check the county records." "Okay, I have the connections." The old man stroked his beard and brought Ning Shu to the county government. He found a connection and said that he wanted to check the county records. Ning Shu and the old man were brought to the county government's archives and told to check it themselves. There was a computer. Ning Shu turned on the computer and searched through the files for information regarding the mass burial of the army. It was to see if an army had passed through here 1,000 years ago. When the old man saw that Ning Shu knew how to use a computer, he was surprised. "You know how to do this?" Ning Shu chuckled and said, "Actually, I often go to internet cafes to surf the net." The old man, he couldn't even afford to eat at home. Wouldn't it be great if he could use the money to surf the net to buy some biscuits? Ning Shu entered the search keyword, and a lot of documents appeared. Ning Shu opened the documents one by one and browsed through them. The old man looked at him and asked, "Did you find it?" "No, maybe there's no record at all." Ning Shu moved the mouse. The old man said, "These people basically died at the same time, which is why they were buried together. There must be a record of such a large-scale killing." Ning Shu opened the document. It didn't say much. It only said that an army had fled here after being defeated, and there were pursuers behind them. The two sides fought fiercely and seemed to have perished together. Okay, there wasn't much value. The documents didn't mention who the generals were, or what the situation was like at the time. Too much time had passed, and a lot of things were blurred. "Master, these corpses should be from two sides?" Ning Shu asked. The old man looked even more worried. Since they were enemies, even after they died, the two sides would still fight each other. The murderous aura and yin qi should be stronger, but I didn't notice it. I thought I was old. The old man stroked his beard. "Where did the yin qi go?" Ning Shu's eyes darted around, but he didn't say anything. According to all the signs, Feng Yin's corpse must be in the 10,000 burial. Perhaps the corpse of the female lead, Song Shihan, from her previous life was also inside. A thought popped up in Ningshu's mind. There's nothing to see. Let's go back, Ningshu said. Ningshu took out some money to buy some meat and some flour and rice. The old man was a little depressed. He kept thinking about where the murderous aura and Yin Qi in the 10,000 burial had gone. He couldn't even eat. After dinner, Ningshu sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate. When it was midnight, he took a flashlight and a shovel and went down the mountain. When he reached the old man's house, Ningshu climbed over the wall and gently landed in the yard. He took out the Changpu from his cloth bag and clipped it to his ear. The Changpu could exorcise evil spirits. Ningshu took the shovel and started digging. Because the soil had already been loosened once, Ningshu dug much easier. It didn't take long for him to find the coffins. Ningshu dug out a few coffins and stuck the shovel to the side. He wiped his hand with cinnabar and slowly opened the decaying coffins. The coffins fell apart the moment Ningshu touched them. Ningshu's hand was covered in wooden splinters. Ningshu shone the flashlight into the coffin. There were scattered bones inside. This skeleton was relatively small. It was obviously a woman's skeleton. Ningshu took a leg bone and stuffed it into his bag. Then, he continued to rummage through the coffins. He took out a bone from each coffin. Then he dug the soil and buried the coffins. After flattening the soil, he climbed over the wall and ran away. The moon in the sky seemed to be covered by a layer of gauze. Staring at the moon for too long gave one a gloomy feeling. There were birds chirping around. Ningshu walked on the path in the fields back to the Taoist temple. Chapter 736. Ningshu had her reasons for stealing the bones. She wanted to test if the secret technique worked. After stealing the bones, Ningshu walked for a long time without returning to the Taoist temple. The temple was not far away, but she could not walk there. The more she walked, the darker her surroundings became. She felt a chill around her, as if someone was blowing at the back of her head. Goosebumps rose all over her body. Maybe something was looking at her and licking her face. There were rustling sounds behind her, mixed with a deep male voice. The voice was very pleasant to the ears, making her feel pregnant. I'm asking you if you're scared. Are you scared? Ningshu. Sure enough, a girl's body was easy to attract ghosts, especially in the middle of the night. She had encountered a ghost. Ningshu stopped in her tracks. In this situation, she could not continue walking. If there was a ditch in front of her, who would she look for if she drowned? If there was a cliff in front of her, who would she look for if she fell to her death? Ningshu felt the chill at the back of her head getting heavier and heavier. There was also a chill that poured into her ears. Damn! It felt like there was more than one ghost around. There were voices behind her. There was a man's voice and a woman's voice. Ningshu suppressed the urge to turn back. Humans had 3 fires, shoulders and forehead. She turned her head and blew out the fire on her shoulder. The yang energy in her body weakened even more. What a torturous little demon. Ningshu took out a talisman from her cloth bag. She held the talisman between her fingers and chanted a spell. The talisman burned. The cold and gloomy aura soon dissipated, and the rustling sound disappeared. Ningshu shone the flashlight in front of her and saw that she was standing in front of a ditch. There was something that looked like water plants wrapped around her ankles. Waves of cold aura spread from her ankles to every corner of her body. She felt that her body was about to freeze, and she had no strength to resist. Damn, did she encounter a water ghost again? Ningshu mobilized the qi gene in her body to disperse the yin qi in her body. Moreover, the seaweed was forcefully pulling her ankle, trying to drag her into the water. Ningshu took out a talisman and pressed it on the seaweed. The seaweed emitted a sizzling sound and retreated back into the water in fright, emitting black smoke. Oh my, I'll never walk at night again. Ningshu immediately took out a talisman and stuck it on her back, one on her chest, and one on both her arms. If you're not afraid of talismans, then come at me. However, a gust of wind blew over and blew away the talismans on Ningshu's body. The shrill sound of the wind roared out from Ningshu's body. Waves of yin qi drilled into Ningshu's body. Damn, he's pushing his luck. Ningshu rolled his eyes and took out the spirit pearl. When Ning Shu held the spirit pearl in his hand, the surrounding yin qi instantly dissipated. The ghost that blew into Ning Shu's ear was also sucked into the spirit pearl and turned into energy for the spirit pearl. This time, they returned to the Taoist temple smoothly. Very few ghosts dared to go near the Taoist temple, so Ning Shu was not afraid of being pestered by ghosts. He had encountered all kinds of things on this trip. When he returned to his room, Ning Shu took out the bones from the cloth bag and placed them on the table. Some of the bones already had holes in them. Ning Shu looked at them and did not know which bones belonged to Feng Yin. He could only test them one by one. Ning Shu took out cinnabar and applied it on the bones. Then, he took out some willow leaf juice and quietly waited for the changes to happen. Not long after, some of the bones started to turn black and emit black smoke. One of the bones even moved, and the bone became as white as jade. Ning Shu held the bone. This might be Feng Yin's corpse. Ning Shu picked up the bone and tapped it on the palm of her hand. She laughed. The thing that the male lead was currently possessing was a jade pendant, and this jade pendant was something that the male lead always carried with him. In any case, after thousands of years of passing through hands, it finally landed in the female lead's hands. Ning Shu took out a cinnabar brush and drew a talisman on the bone. The bone was actually a little hot. Ning Shu drew a dense number of talismans on the bone. In the end, the bone started to become hollow and brittle. Ning Shu squeezed it with his hand and crushed it into powder. He then used a bowl to collect the powder. Ning Shu chuckled. He mixed the cinnabar and various other things together and mixed it into ink. Then, he took out a cinnabar brush and dipped it in the bone ash to draw talismans on yellow paper. Using a child's spear to attack a child's shield, he would use this talisman to deal with Feng Yin. This was something that Ning Shu had seen in the Maoshan spellbooks. Ning Shu spent the entire night drawing talismans. The next morning, he still had to wake up to make breakfast for the group of children. Ning Shu placed the talisman he had drawn in his cloth bag and patted it contentedly. After breakfast, the old man took Ning Shu to do business. However, he let Ning Shu handle it. If Ning Shu couldn't handle it, the old man would do it himself. Ning Shu saw all kinds of ghosts. There were ghosts with especially strong malevolent auras, ghosts possessing children, and all kinds of little ghosts. This made Ning Shu much more familiar with ghost hunting. However, the old man's expression became more and more gloomy by the day. His brows were tightly furrowed. He had something on his mind. Ning Shu asked, "Master, are you still worried about the 10,000 burial?" "Yes." The old man stroked his beard. "I've always had a bad feeling. In our line of work, it's instinctive to sense good and bad. Anyway, there's something strange about the 10,000 burial." Ning Shu couldn't help but say, "There's no malevolent aura. There's a malicious ghost that absorbed the malevolent aura and yin qi. That's what I'm worried about. Even now that thing hasn't appeared. It must be something powerful that absorbed the malevolent aura of the 10,000 burial." The old man sighed. "I've lived for so long. Even if I die, it'll be worth it. It's just a bunch of kids like you." The old man was very depressed. "Forget it. If it's a blessing, it's not a curse. If it's a curse, we can't avoid it. After a while, you'll go on an adventure." The old man said, "Bring Tao Sheng with you." Ning Shu was speechless. Why would he bring Tao Sheng? She was going to deal with the Ghost King. Although Tao Sheng had some skills, the Ghost King could kill him with a flick of his finger. "Master, I don't want to bring Tao Sheng. Let Tao Sheng learn from you for a while first." Ning Shu refused. The old man squinted and said, "It's good that one of you can escape. You should at least pass on the Maoshan technique." "No need. I feel that it won't be safe if I go out. What if I don't take junior brother into consideration, and something happens?" Ning Shu said, "Didn't the divination say that it would be dangerous for me to go on an adventure?" "Master, I also gave myself a rough divination. It's very bad." Ning Shu said, "It'll be more dangerous for junior brother to follow me." "All right, as long as you're happy." The old man squinted. "There's a business deal that you should take a look at. It's an acquaintance of mine. His son has been possessed by a ghost. Now strange things are happening in the company. The company's employees are also in trouble. They've been begging me to take a look." The old man Ning Shu said. When the time comes, extort more money. I haven't eaten meat in a long time. Ning Shu said. Didn't you just eat yesterday? Did I? The old man looked at the sky gloomily. He looked like an immortal who bemoaned the state of the universe and pitied the fate of mankind. Ning Shu turned and left to pack his luggage. Chapter 737. The next day, Ning Shu carried a bulging cloth bag and went to look for the old man. The cloth bag was filled with tools for exorcism, such as a peachwood sword, talismans, cinnabar brushes, and all kinds of things. The bag was stuffed to the brim. When he arrived at the main hall, the old man was burning incense for the 3 pure ones. Ning Shu also took an incense stick and burned it. The old man turned to look at Ning Shu and said with a smile, Girl, be careful on your trip. Ning Shu said, I know. Master, you have to take care too. The old man took the compass and handed it to Ning Shu. This is a Dharma artifact left behind by the founder. This is the only Dharma artifact left in our sect. Ning Shu hurriedly waved his hand. Master, there's no need to give me the compass. This is something used by the founder. The compass was heavy and had a sense of mystery. At a glance, it was obvious that it had a long history. What if she broke it? In the plot, Tao Qin relied on this compass, and her soul was attached to it. That was why Feng Yin didn't devour her soul power. Otherwise, she wouldn't even have the chance to offer her soul to counterattack. She relied on the power of the compass to protect her soul. The old man stuffed the compass into Ning Shu's hands. All right, just keep it. Then he gave Ning Shu a cloth bag. Ning Shu took it and saw that it was filled with dry biscuits. Seeing so many biscuits, Ning Shu had a bad feeling. Master, you've spent a lot of money preparing so many biscuits for me, Ning Shu said. It's not much. Save them for the journey, the old man said. Ning Shu, can I walk there? Master, can't you give me some money for the fare? Ning Shu thought about walking to the big city with 2 legs. He wanted to die. The old man said very straightforwardly, We have money at home. In our line of work, we can get money wherever we go. But can the possessed person over their wait? Ning Shu said unhappily. Mui, I'm an acquaintance of his. I've given him some talismans in the past. They can last for a while. The old man countered the old man's words. Anyway, he just wanted money. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu knelt down and kowtowed to the old man, saying, Master, take care of yourself. When you get there, go to this address and find an acquaintance of mine. The old man handed Ning Shu a piece of paper with the address written on it. Ning Shu put away the paper and turned around to leave the hall. He even turned back to look at the old man in the hall. His heart was pounding, and he didn't know if he would be able to come back. He had embarked on the journey of destiny. Senior apprentice sister, wait a moment. Ning Shu had just left the monastery when he heard Tao Sheng's voice. Tao Sheng ran in front of Ning Shu and gave him a bag of fruits. He said, Eat this if you are thirsty on the way. Ning Shu took it with a smile. Thank you, junior apprentice brother. Ning Shu took the big and small bags and left. Ning Shu's heart was filled with bitterness. Could it be that she really had to walk to H City on foot? Walking on the dusty road, Ning Shu finally reached the county. He decided to find a business to get money to go to the city. Big brother, I see that your glabello is dark. Recently. Crazy, you didn't take your medicine. Ning Shu was speechless. Miss, I see that your glabello is dark, and your face is gloomy. Who are you calling miss? Call me miss again. Ning Shu was speechless. Why was it so difficult to do business now? In the end, Ning Shu found a business. It was a child crying at night. A 5-month-old child would cry all night long at night. It was heart-wrenching. He had lost his soul. Ning Shu took a pair of chopsticks and inserted them into a bowl filled with water. He asked the child's relatives to call the child's name and call the child's name on the road near home. After being busy for a while, Ning Shu ate a sumptuous meal at the host's house and gave some money. Ning Shu used the money to take a long-distance bus to H City. H City was a big city with many tall buildings. When Ning Shu got off the bus, he realized that his clothes did not fit in with Gij. It was obvious that he was from the countryside. Ning Shu did not care. He took out the address and called for a taxi to take him to this place. The address was in a wealthy district. Ning Shu was stopped by the security and could not enter. Moreover, Ning Shu did not have the money to pay for the taxi. Bitter, Ning Shu said to the security guard, "Hello, I'm looking for Mr. Xia Weiming. Please inform him that I'm Tao Cheng's disciple." The security guard looked at Ning Shu from head to toe. He was dressed like a country bumpkin with a cloth bag, and his shoes were stained with yellow sand. He did not look like someone who had anything to do with the wealthy district. Ning Shu naturally saw the disdain in the security guard's eyes. He said, "I'm here to do something for Mr. Xia. If you delay Mr. Xia's matter, you might not be able to keep your job. It's fine to call and ask." The security guard slowly dialed the number. Ning Shu stood there and waited. He said to the taxi driver, "Wait a moment. Someone will pay soon." The driver rolled his eyes and could only wait. Not long after the security guard made the call, a middle-aged man came out. His eyebrows were filled with worry and anxiety. His eyebrows were tightly knitted. Before he got close, Ning Shu felt some yin qi on his body. It made him look gloomy and spiritless. "Your master didn't come?" Xia Weiming saw that only Ning Shu was there. He was a little disappointed. Then he saw the young Qi Hai with the rustic bangs, which made him look even younger. He was even more disappointed. Ning Shu said, "Mr. Xia, help me pay the fare first. I don't have money." Xia Weiming paid the fare and said to the security guard, "Don't stop her in the future." Xia Weiming took Ning Shu to the villa. As soon as they walked into the living room, Ning Shu felt that the villa was full of yin qi. Ning Shu took out a piece of talisman paper and handed it to Xia Weiming. "Take this with you." Xia Weiming thanked him and folded the talisman paper and put it in his pocket. He did not know if it was a psychological effect, but Xia Weiming felt that his mind was clear, and he was not so tired. "Little immortal, let's go see my son first," Xia Weiming said to Ning Shu anxiously. Ning Shu nodded and followed Xia Weiming to his son's room. The door was covered with talisman paper. Ning Shu frowned. Each talisman paper had a different purpose. It was easy to get into trouble by blindly pasting talisman paper. "Tear the talisman paper on the door," Ning Shu said. Xia Weiming immediately tore the talisman paper. Ning Shu pushed the door open and suddenly felt a chill go straight into his body. He had goosebumps, and the room was filled with a strange smell. The room was very dark. The window was not open, and the curtains blocked the light. Ning Shu took a while to adapt to the darkness. He looked around the room. The room's walls, furniture, and bedside were all pasted with talisman paper. A young man was tied to the bed. His face was pale, but his lips were very dark. There was a thick black qi between his eyebrows. His vitality was suppressed by the death qi. If he was late, he might really be finished. Chapter 738. Xia Weiming's son Xia Yuan had somehow gotten into trouble with a lot of monks and Taoist priests. However, in this day and age, the truly capable monks and Taoist priests were no longer as particular as they used to be. No matter what they did, they had to check their taboos before doing anything. Xia Weiming had written to the old man many times, asking him to save his son. Xia Weiming had no confidence in Ning Shu, but her son was in such a state. She could only try her best. If she couldn't handle it, she would definitely call her master over. Ning Shu took out a talisman paper and held it between his fingers. The talisman paper ignited a flame to disperse the yin qi in the house. Then he walked into the house. Ning Shu opened the curtains. Bright light suddenly projected into the house and shone on Xia Yuan, who was lying on the bed. Ning Shu didn't see Xia Yuan's condition before it was dark in the house. Now he saw that his face was bruised, and there was a gauze on his forehead. Due to the strong light, he was very uncomfortable. He twisted his body and yelled at Ning Shu, who was standing by the bed. He wasn't talking, he was yelling. Ning Shu took the talisman paper and stuck it on his forehead. Xia Yuan's body trembled, and his face was distorted. Black qi came out from between his eyebrows. He rolled his eyes and fainted. What's wrong with his face? Ning Shu asked Xia Weiming. Xia Weiming sighed and said, "If we don't tie him up, he will hit the wall and jump off the building. He is very afraid of light. He doesn't know what to do when we open the curtains." Ning Shu didn't care about the fainted Xia Yuan. Instead, he took out the compass and checked the feng shui of the villa to see if there was anything wrong. Nowadays, people rarely paid attention to the feng shui of yang houses. Sometimes when people lived in yang houses, it was easy for something to happen at home. That was how haunted houses came to be. People who died in haunted houses gathered resentment. If someone moved into such a house, it was most likely because they couldn't figure it out and wanted to die. Ning Shu's feng shui was only at a passing level. He could tell whether something was good or bad. However, he didn't have the ability to change the feng shui with an object. There was no problem with Xia Weiming's feng shui. Usually, the rich were very particular about it, because the slightest bit of carelessness would cause them to go bankrupt. After checking the feng shui of the house, Ning Shu returned to Xia Yuan's room to take his pulse. Xia Yuan was not possessed by a ghost. Instead, the evil spirit had entered his body, causing his body to be in a very chaotic state. His internal organs and magnetic fields were affected by the evil spirit. If Xia Yuan's body was corroded by the evil spirit, his life would be shortened. Ning Shu took off the cloth bag on his body and took out willow leaves, calamus, and various other exorcism items. "Where's the kitchen? I'll cook something," Ning Shu asked. Xia Weiming brought Ning Shu to the kitchen. He was worried that Ning Shu wouldn't know how to use the things in the kitchen, so he asked the servant to help him. Ning Shu didn't use tap water to cook. Instead, he used the rootless water in the Taoist temple. The rootless water was rainwater that didn't fall to the ground. Ning Shu waited until the clay pot was bubbling. She lit up the talisman paper and put the burnt talisman paper's black ashes into the clay pot. Xia Weiming saw the black, poison-like substance in the clay pot. His face twitched and he asked, "What's wrong with my son?" "It's the evil spirit that entered his body. He's possessed by evil spirits." Ning Shu stared at the clay pot and said without turning his head. When the medicine was ready, Ning Shu poured a bowl of it for Xia Weiming and said, "You should drink some too. You've been with Xia Yuan every day, so you'll be contaminated by the evil spirit." Xia Weiming didn't say anything and drank the exorcism medicine directly. Ning Shu saw a little bit of black gas slowly emerging from his body. Although the evil spirit didn't enter Xia Weiming's body, he had been contaminated by this gloomy aura. Nothing went smoothly recently. Ning Shu took the bowl and went to Xia Yuan's room. He stuck a piece of talisman paper on his forehead. Xia Yuan suddenly felt so uncomfortable that his whole body moved, and he woke up. He let out a chuckle, and his eyes were unfocused. "Get a few people to hold him down," Ning Shu said to Xia Weiming. Xia Weiming immediately let the bodyguards at the door in. 4 bodyguards held Xia Yuan down. Ning Shu reached out to pinch Xia Yuan's nose, but Xia Yuan stretched his neck and wanted to bite Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu took out the talisman paper and held Xia Yuan in place. Then, he pinched Xia Yuan's nose and poured a bowl of black liquid into his mouth. Xia Yuan was in great pain after drinking the exorcism medicine. He roared loudly and twisted his body. Although he was tied up and held down by 4 bodyguards, he couldn't be held down any longer. Xia Yuan's eyes were red and black smoke was coming out of his body. Ning Shu took the talisman paper and stuck it on Xia Yuan's body. The 4 bodyguards each had one too. Ning Shu set up the yang gathering formation in the room again. This time, with the help of the compass, the room was not only brightly lit, but the temperature in the room was also slowly rising. The evil spirit in the room was soon illuminated and dissipated. Under the effect of the medicine and the yang gathering formation, Xia Yuan's body emitted a billowing evil spirit and resisted the yang gathering formation. Ning Shu wasn't in a hurry. Xia Yuan's body would feel better after the evil spirit left. Ah! Xia Yuan was extremely uncomfortable. He let out an inhuman roar and broke the ropes. Without the ropes, the 4 bodyguards couldn't hold Xia Yuan down at all. Xia Yuan roared and ran to the balcony. It was obvious that he wanted to jump off the building. Ningshu's heart skipped a beat. He mobilized the qi in his body and rushed to Xia Yuan's back. He grabbed Xia Yuan's collar. Ningshu suddenly felt as if he was pulling a few galloping horses. Xia Yuan's strength was frightening. If Ningshu hadn't practiced peerless martial arts, he would have been pulled off the balcony by Xia Yuan. Ningshu hugged Xia Yuan's waist and threw him over his shoulder. Then, he controlled Xia Yuan's arms and pressed his knees on his back. He grabbed a handful of glutinous rice soaked in cinnabar from his bag and pressed it on Xia Yuan's back. Xia Yuan was in great pain. His face was already distorted. He shouted at Xia Weiming, "Dad, save me, save me!" Xia Weiming took 2 steps forward. His eyes were red with heartache. He wiped away his tears and turned his head away. He couldn't bear to look anymore. Ningshu used all kinds of methods. In addition to the yang gathering formation, the temperature in the room was getting higher, and the yang energy was getting more abundant. Xia Yuan couldn't take it anymore and fainted. Ningshu let go of Xia Yuan's arms and let out a long sigh. He wiped the cold sweat on his head. It was indeed too much for him to do it alone. Without the old man by her side to support her, she still felt a little uneasy. Ningshu's body was a little weak. His hands were trembling slightly. He had used too much strength. The bodyguards moved Xia Yuan to the bed. His breathing was weak and his face was bruised. Ningshu said, "Boil water with calamus and give him a bath." His body was smeared with corpse oil. Chapter 739. Ningshu smelled something stinky and fragrant from Xia Yuan's body. It was a very strange smell. Ningshu had smelled it when he entered the house. He didn't expect it to be corpse oil. The smell became stronger when it was pressed on Xia Yuan's body. Xia Weiming's face turned pale when he heard about corpse oil. He asked in a low voice, "Is someone trying to harm him on purpose?" Ningshu said faintly, "Corpse oil is the oil refined from corpses. The dead have strong yin energy, so it's easier for something to happen to them." Xia Weiming frowned and looked at Xia Yuan, who was unconscious on the bed. His eyes were particularly sharp. Xia Weiming asked the maid to boil some calamus water for Xia Yuan to bathe. Ningshu sat on the sofa with his legs crossed. When he saw Xia Weiming coming over, he said, "I don't have a place to stay. Arrange a room for me next to your son's room. I'll be the first to notice if anything happens." Xia Weiming naturally had no objections. Ningshu said again, "My master said that you have to pay more this time." Xia Weiming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He nodded and said, "Money is not a problem. I just hope that my son can be healthy. There's also the company. Strange things have been happening to the company recently. The employees keep getting into trouble. If this goes on, the company will go bankrupt. Help me to check on the company." Ningshu said, "Okay." After resting for a while, Ningshu boiled some medicine for Xia Yuan again and brought it to him. Xia Yuan's room was very hot, and the light was very dazzling. The sheets under Xia Yuan's body were soaked with sweat. Ningshu asked the maid to feed Xia Yuan water. If he continued to sweat like this, he would definitely die of dehydration. However, the maids knew that Xia Yuan was possessed. They didn't dare to go near him for fear of provoking a malicious spirit. Xia Weiming threw a tantrum and then took care of his son. Ningshu could understand. If one got involved with such a thing, they would not stop until one was dead. They might even lose half of their life. For the next few days, Ningshu took care of Xia Yuan. Xia Yuan's pulse was not as messy as it used to be after taking some medicine. Xia Yuan didn't have any extreme reaction when the talisman was pasted on his body. It was obvious that the baleful qi and yin qi in his body were almost gone. However, Xia Yuan's body had to be nursed back to health. Otherwise it would collapse. Xia Weiming saw that his son was much more normal. He wasn't as crazy as before, wanting to commit suicide at the slightest provocation. Xia Yuan's mind was much clearer now. Xia Weiming breathed a sigh of relief, as he could recognize people when he woke up. During this period of time, Xia Weiming had suffered greatly. His wife had died early, leaving behind his only child. His son had returned from studying abroad half a year ago, and had started to manage the company. He had not expected such a thing to happen. Xia Weiming saw that Ning Shu had some ability, so he praised the old man in front of Ning Shu, saying that the old man was a great teacher and had a great disciple. Xia Weiming wanted Ning Shu to go to his company to have a look. Ning Shu said, "Little immortal, come with me to the company today. Just call me Tao Qin. Let's go to the company to have a look," Ning Shu said. Xia Weiming looked at Ning Shu from head to toe and asked, "Do you only have this kind of clothes?" Ning Shu's clothes were very rustic. Ning Shu nodded and said, "I only have this kind of clothes." "What kind of clothes do you like? I'll ask my secretary to buy you too. Do you like dresses?" Xia Weiming saw that Ning Shu did not look like a girl at all. Which girl nowadays was like her? Ning Shu waved her hand and said, "Just give me jeans and a t-shirt. It's not convenient to do things with a dress." Xia Weiming asked his secretary to buy clothes suitable for young girls. Ning Shu changed into jeans and a t-shirt and tied her hair into a bun. Then, she only took the cow tears and got into the car with Xia Weiming to the company. Xia Weiming's company was a big company. When they arrived at the company, Ning Shu smeared the cow tears on her eyelids and walked into the company. The employees of the company did not have much energy. When she walked in, she saw that there were a few people sleeping on the table. Ning Shu blinked and saw a female employee standing in front of the printer to print something. However, there was a ghost standing behind her. The ghost stared at her and even lifted her hair to the tip of its nose to smell it. The female employee took the printed thing and turned around. She brushed past the ghost behind her. There was really a ghost in this company. In broad daylight, so many people and ghosts dared to appear. Anyway, the whole company had a gloomy atmosphere and a familiar murderous aura. The ghost did not follow the female employee. Instead, it went to play tricks on others. For example, a male employee was pouring water. However, for some reason, the cup flipped over, and the water splashed on his crotch. The man was scalded and jumped. Then, the ghost was gloating at the side. Or there was a sudden power outage. Many employees did not have time to save their work information. Once the power went out, there were cries of pain. The ghost held its stomach and laughed wildly. Ning Shu looked at it. It was about 20 years old. It looked very young and was very mischievous. Ning Shu looked at it coldly. When the ghost saw that Ning Shu was staring at it, it floated in front of Ning Shu. Ning Shu suddenly felt a chill. He felt as if he had entered a freezer. The ghost waved its hand in front of Ning Shu. "Can you see me?" Ning Shu turned and left. Now was not the time to teach it a lesson. Ning Shu followed Xia Weiming around the company. When they brushed past a woman, Ning Shu's nose twitched. This woman was wearing a corset dress that made her waist look very thin. She was a delicate and beautiful woman. Her face was rosy and radiant. Most importantly, there was a hint of lust on her body. Something ambiguous and indescribable must have happened not long ago. This woman was Song Shihan. When the ghost saw Song Shihan, he even took the initiative to wipe the chair for her. Of course, he could not wipe it at all. His hand went through the chair. Song Shihan seemed to be able to see the ghost. She even smiled at him. He was so attentive. Their relationship was not shallow. Ning Shu looked at the ghost and was puzzled. This was Feng Yin. It couldn't be. Didn't they say that Feng Yin was the best in the world? How could he be like this? This ghost could only be considered good-looking. Ning Shu was puzzled when he saw a man in red appear beside Song Shihan. This man was wearing an ancient red shirt, and his hair was loose. His hands were slightly tucked in his sleeves. He had an outstanding aura. He was like a dragon and a phoenix. His hair was slanted to his temples. His eyes were handsome, and his eyebrows were like a painting. His looks were natural and elegant. He was so beautiful that he could topple cities. He was like a man who had walked out of a painting and traveled through thousands of years. He had an air of nobility about him. He seemed to have the elegance of a scholar from the Wei and Jin dynasties. His red shirt was like a raging fire. It made him look even more unruly and elegant. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes. He felt that his eyes were about to be burned by the man's red shirt. This man must be Feng Yin. His every move was elegant. His every word was elegant. He was peerless and unparalleled. Chapter 740. Ning Shu finally understood why the mission takers had fallen for Feng Yin's charms. She was indeed heaven-defying, elegant, and beautiful. Fuck, she was a gorgeous ghost. Look at her bright red clothes. So what if she was a ghost because she was handsome? Appearance was the way to go. Normal humans could no longer be the male lead. Now men with such heavy tastes were almost inhuman. Feng Yin bent down slightly and whispered into Song Shihan's ear. No one knew what he said, but Song Shihan blushed shyly. Her face was red, and to others she looked baffled. Song Shihan was the only one blushing. Crazy. Feng Yin felt Ning Shu sizing him up. He turned around and narrowed his eyes. Damn! It was suffocating to look at him from the front. Just like Tao Qin said, this girl was so handsome. When Feng Yin looked at Ning Shu felt as if a bucket of ice water had been poured over him. His body turned into an ice pillar. Ning Shu looked behind Feng Yin with unfocused eyes. He didn't want to meet Feng Yin's eyes to prove that he wasn't looking at him. He couldn't alert the enemy now. Feng Yin casually retracted his gaze and sat beside Song Shihan's chair. He propped his chin up with his hand and lazily watched Song Shihan work. His eyes were full of love. His posture was elegant and lazy. In short, he was extremely charming. Tao Qin. Xia Weiming looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu followed Xia Weiming into the office. How is it? Xia Weiming asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu shook his head and said, let's talk when we get back. Xia Weiming saw Ning Shu's serious expression and didn't ask further. Once they got home, he asked Ning Shu, how's the company? There's a ghost. Ning Shu stretched out a finger. After thinking for a while, he stretched out another finger. What do you mean? Xia Weiming didn't understand. There's a not-so-powerful ghost. He's the one behind all the strange things in the company. Ning Shu said, there's another ghost, and it's very powerful. I might not be able to deal with it, so I'll have to think about it carefully. Feng Yin was a ghost who had lived for 1,000 years. He would not play pranks on others. His heart and eyes were filled with Song Shihan. If he wanted to make a move, he would either kill them or cripple them. Xia Weiming furrowed his brows. The company used to be fine. How did we get involved with something like this? Because Song Shihan was in the company. Now Feng Yin was inseparable from Song Shihan. Besides, the jade pendant was still with Song Shihan. Xia Weiming Ning Shu said, why don't you call your master over? Ning Shu shook his head. My master can't leave. He won't come. Xia Weiming sighed and fidgeted with his hair. What's the reason? Everything has a cause and effect. Ning Shu said, the problem probably lies with the person. Maybe the staff attracted the ghost. Ning Shu went upstairs to check on Xie Yuan. Xie Yuan had woken up and was lying on the bed blinking his eyes. When he saw Ning Shu, he froze for a moment and said, come and help me. I need to go to the bathroom. How can you let the immortal help you go to the bathroom? Xia Weiming walked in and helped Xie Yuan to the bathroom. Ning Shu looked at Xie Yuan, who was lying on the bed again, and asked, how do you feel? My whole body hurts. Xie Yuan felt like he had been beaten up. Even his bones hurt. The power that Xie Yuan had burst out earlier was overdrawing his life force. It was normal for his body to hurt. Xie Yuan's face was bruised and looked very funny. Ning Shu asked, did you do anything out of line before? What do you mean by out of line? Xie Yuan asked. Ning Shu thought for a moment and said, for example, if you're chasing a girl, do you have a girl you like recently? Ning Shu felt that Xie Yuan's matter should be caused by Feng Yin. Even if it wasn't Feng Yin, it should be another ghost following Feng Yin around. Xie Yuan thought for a moment and said, I'm chasing a girl. Who is it? Xia Weiming gritted his teeth and asked. It's the clerk Song Shihan. She's pretty and gentle. Xie Yuan's eyes were smiling when he talked about Song Shihan. Ning Shu was speechless. You don't even have a chance to be reincarnated if you covet Feng Yin's woman. Xia Weiming immediately said, I'll fire this woman. Don't. Ning Shu quickly stopped him. You'll only provoke conflict if you do that. Anyone who dared to fire Feng Yin's woman should wait for their family to be destroyed. Feng Yin was a very domineering person. Coupled with his powerful abilities, he didn't care about others at all. As long as Song Shihan was hurt, these people would usually die miserably. Then who put the corpse oil on Xie Yuan's body? Could it be Song Shihan? That was impossible. Song Shihan was a beautiful white lotus. She was elegant and refined. She wouldn't do such a thing. In the plot, Song Shihan's female boss was jealous of Song Shihan's good looks. She always made things difficult for Song Shihan, and was haunted by ghosts. Terrifying supernatural events happened every day. The female boss was so scared that she almost lost her mind. Tao Qin took this job. When she went to the company where the female boss worked, she found Song Shihan and Feng Yin. The woman and the ghost were having an affair in the washroom. There were also people coming and going to the washroom. In the narrow cubicle of the washroom, Song Shihan had to cover her mouth to prevent herself from making a sound. Anyway, it was exciting. Song Shihan could see Feng Yin hugging each other, but others couldn't. They only saw Song Shihan in a state of ecstasy. Who would have thought that she was having sex with a ghost? Tao Qin persuaded Song Shihan to think of a way to leave the ghost. Song Shihan was human, and Feng Yin had already fallen into the path of ghosts. Even if the two of them had a 1,000-year bond, they should go their separate ways now. They shouldn't be entangled like this. Tao Qin did it out of kindness. She had sex with the ghost. Yin Qi had entered her body, and the magnetic field between a human and a ghost was different. If Song Shihan didn't control herself, her lifespan would be shortened. She might not even be able to reincarnate as a human. Her soul might dissipate. After Tao Qin said that, Feng Yin naturally remembered it. He hated this talkative Taoist priest. Not only did he kill Tao Qin, but he also killed his way to the Taoist temple and killed the detestable Taoist priest from Mao Mountain. Ning Shu was thinking about how to kill Feng Yin. Anyway, she had to kill Feng Yin. This was her mission. Feng Yin was so powerful that no one could stop him. He only had eyes for Song Shihan. As long as they hurt Song Shihan, he would kill them regardless of whether they were human or ghost. Feng Yin had a lot of karma on him. Regardless of whether the person he killed was good or bad, Song Shihan would determine who was right or wrong. Did he really think that he was so powerful that he had nothing to worry about? This is the immortal master who saved you. Quickly thank him, Xie Weiming said to Xie Yuan. Xie Yuan was a little suspicious, but he remembered that he had been in a daze for a long time and didn't know anything. When he woke up, it was already more than a month later. Thank you. Although Xie Yuan was suspicious, he still thanked him. Chapter 741. Xie Yuan had gone abroad and was educated in materialism. He couldn't help but ask Ning Shu, "Did I really encounter a ghost? Do ghosts really exist?" Ning Shu said, "It's better to be in awe of things that you don't understand. Would you be like this if you weren't possessed?" Ning Shu took out a mirror from his bag and placed it in front of Xie Yuan. "This is the mark left behind when you tried to commit suicide." Xie Yuan saw his face in the mirror. It was blue and purple and looked like a pig's head. He immediately rolled his eyes. "Why am I so ugly?" Ning Shu was speechless. Shouldn't he be glad that he was still alive? After leaving Xie Yuan's room, Xie Weiming said to Ning Shu, "I want to arrange for you to work in the company. We can't let them cause trouble in the company." Ning Shu thought for a moment and said, "Let's wait for a while. I'll think of a way." Without absolute confidence, it was not worth angering Feng Yin. The innocent employees in the company might be the unlucky ones. If something happened to these employees, Xie Weiming would probably have to pay for it. Besides, Song Shihan was Feng Yin's sore spot. Song Shihan could not be touched. Damn it. Feng Yin was too powerful. He wanted to have enough power to dote on Song Shihan unscrupulously. This was not a scary ghost story. It was a sweet love story that was forcefully stuffed with dog food. Unfortunately, some onlookers were involved in this unprecedented adventure and became cannon fodder. Ning Shu returned to his room and sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate. Only a small amount of spiritual energy entered his pores. The spiritual energy here was not as abundant as in the Taoist temple. Ning Shu felt helpless. He did not make much progress after cultivating for a night. Ning Shu opened the cloth bag and took out all kinds of props. There was a peachwood sword, a compass. A pitch-black soul pearl appeared in Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu looked at the soul pearl, and then at the compass. He could either set up an immortal array in the company, or use the soul pearl and the compass to hold the array. If the effect was stronger, it could even weaken Feng Yin's ability. However, if one were to hit a snake at its weakest point, one would be bitten instead. Ning Shu was not arrogant enough to think that he could deal with an old ghost that had cultivated for 1,000 years. He could only use his wits. Ning Shu infuses a little bit of spiritual qi into the compass, which strengthens it a little. Knock, knock, knock. Ning Shu was thinking about how to deal with Feng Yin when he heard a knock on the door. He opened the door and saw Xia Weiming. Xia Weiming asked Ning Shu, "Are you going to the company?" "Sigh. 2 more employees asked for leave today. They said they went to the hospital. If this goes on, the company won't be able to continue operating." The employees are also trembling with fear. They are all saying that there is a ghost in the company. In the past month, several people in the company have resigned. Xia Weiming looked worried. "Okay, let's go to the company and have a look." Ning Shu didn't carry his own cloth bag, which was full of ghost hunting tools, and would definitely be discovered. Ning Shu carried the soul pearl, cow's tears, and willow leaf juice with him. These were all ghost hunting tools. "I want to arrange for you to work with the girl that Yi Yuan used to like. What's her name again? You can work with her," Xia Weiming said. "Damn, working with the female lead. It would be good to be close to the female lead." When they arrived at the company, Xia Weiming arranged for Ning Shu to sit at the desk next to Song Shihan's. There was only a board between them. Even without the cow's tears, Ning Shu could feel that Feng Yin was looking at him coldly. It was as if he was sizing him up and rejecting him. Obviously, he was unhappy that Ning Shu was sitting next to his woman. Ning Shu saw that Song Shihan's face was flushed with happiness, but there was a dark aura between her eyebrows. Her body would definitely be damaged if she had to spend time with an evil ghost, especially one that had lived for more than 1,000 years like Feng Yin. A woman's body was of the Yin attribute. It was easy for her to attract unclean things. When Song Shihan saw Ning Shu, he smiled politely at her. Ning Shu immediately felt a cold stare directed at him. Jealousy. Song Shihan couldn't even smile at a woman. Ning Shu sat next to Song Shihan. From time to time, he could hear Song Shihan talking to herself softly. Sometimes he could hear her stifled laughter. Clearly, she was talking to Feng Yin. Just as Ning Shu was about to take a sip of water, the cup moved to the edge of the table and fell to the ground. The cup broke into pieces. Ning Shu pursed his lips. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Ning Shu bent down to pick up the broken pieces and threw them into the bin. Without thinking, he knew who had done it. This ghost was Feng Yin's errand boy. He relied on Feng Yin's power to play tricks on the people in the company, causing them to become crazy. In the beginning, Song Shihan would tell Feng Yin not to do this. Feng Yin didn't care and said that it was fine. Song Shihan thought about how this ghost was by Feng Yin's side. He was very mischievous and didn't have any malicious intentions. She was used to his pranks. Ning Shu pursed his lips and glanced at Song Shihan. He felt speechless. The company paid Song Shihan a salary and let her work to support herself. She brought the ghost to the company and even allowed him to make fun of her colleagues. She was a white lotus, but she wasn't a saint. Moreover, her worldview was very strange. She would even sympathize with a very pitiful ghost. She didn't act like this even when she met a pitiful person. Indeed, if you marry a chicken, you have to follow the chicken. If you marry a dog, you have to follow the dog. Ning Shu discreetly smeared the cow's tears on his eyelids. He saw the ghost who liked to play pranks looking at him smugly. He had a smug look on his face. Ning Shu took out a folded talisman paper. He deliberately used his hand to hold the talisman paper and slid it across the ghost's body. The ghost's body was touched by Ning Shu's talisman paper. Immediately, black smoke came out of it. He jumped and shouted, causing the lights in the company to be turned off and on again. The lights in the lights were sizzling. Ning Shu was shocked. He said to the extremely calm Song Shihan, "Is this company really unclean?" Ning Shu saw Feng Yin, who was dressed in red, sitting next to Song Shihan. Ning Shu had to pretend that he didn't see him at all. He didn't see Feng Yin was looking at Song Shihan with an extremely affectionate gaze. The ghost was hurt by Ning Shu's talisman paper, but he didn't care. Ning Shu handed the talisman paper to Song Shihan and said, I heard that this company is unclean. I specially went to ask for an amulet. This is for you. Thank you, but it's okay, Song Shihan said. She didn't need the possession amulet at all. Song Shihan muttered softly, Does wearing this mean that I can't get close to you? Ning Shu's ears twitched. He knew that she was talking to Feng Yin, who was sitting next to her. This kind of thing is useless to me. Don't worry, Feng Yin said calmly. His voice was elegant and gentle, causing Song Shihan's ears to turn red. Ning Shu took out another folded talisman paper and said, I asked for a few of them. I'll give you one for self-defense. In the future, I'll look forward to working with you. Song Shihan said, It's okay. You were brought here by the company's boss. No one will dare to make things difficult for you. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. These words had many meanings, and were very complicated. What did she mean? Chapter 742. Ning Shu didn't take out the talisman to give it to Song Shihan. Nor did he expect Song Shihan to accept it. He just wanted to deal with the ghost that had teased them earlier. The ghost was stained by the talisman, and its body emitted a black aura. Even its soul looked a little transparent. At this moment it was glaring fiercely at Ning Shu. Ning Shu rushed over, but Ning Shu's expression didn't change. He held the talisman in his hand, and stopped the ghost in its tracks. When Song Shihan saw this scene, and saw that the talisman in Ning Shu's hand really had a restraining effect on ghosts, she couldn't help but frown. Ning Shu said, Talismans are just superstitions. What era are we in now? Ning Shu was speechless. You have a ghost by your side, and you're still talking about superstitions? Girl, you can't lie through your teeth like that. Ning Shu waved the talisman in his hand, and made the ghost take a few steps away from Ning Shu. With this thing it can ward off ghosts and evil spirits. It's good to have it with you. Do you want it? Ning Shu said to Song Shihan under Feng Yin's cold gaze. Song Shihan smiled and shook her head. No need. No ghosts could get close to her now. She had a powerful ghost by her side, and it scared away all the other ghosts. Ning Shu gave some talismans to the other colleagues in the office, and asked them to take care of his work. Everyone in the office accepted Ning Shu's talismans. So many strange things had happened in the company recently, and everyone was speculating in their hearts. Basically, everyone in the office had been teased and encountered strange things. Some people couldn't take it anymore and resigned. If it weren't for their livelihood, who would be willing to be in such a state of fear? After accepting Ning Shu's talismans, they thanked Ning Shu, and told him to look for them, if he had any difficulties at work. Ning Shu nodded. TSK. Ning Shu really wanted to tell Song Shihan to tie up her dog properly. It wasn't right to bite people like that. Song Shihan pursed her lips when she saw Ning Shu use the talisman to control the people in the office. She saw the ghost and felt uncomfortable, so she hid in the corner. She couldn't help but whisper to Feng Yin, who was beside her. Will these talismans affect you? I think Auntie C is in a lot of pain. The flirtatious Feng Yin glanced at the ghost called Coachman, then turned to Song Shihan and smiled wickedly. Are you concerned about me? I didn't. Song Shihan curled her lips. I feel uncomfortable all over. Feng Yin leaned against Song Shihan. Ning Shu was speechless. It stung his eyes. Fortunately, the cow tears on his eyelids had dried up, so Ning Shu couldn't see the interaction between the two. However, he always heard Song Shihan talking to herself like a lunatic. Ning Shu was working when he saw Song Shihan heading to the bathroom. Ning Shu thought about it and followed her. When he entered the bathroom, he saw Song Shihan leaning against the sink with her eyes closed and her hands raised. She looked like she was kissing someone. However, Ning Shu couldn't see Feng Yin. He could only see Song Shihan's slightly red face. She looked shy and intoxicated. Ning Shu coughed. Song Shihan immediately opened her eyes and put her hands down. She looked a little upset. Why didn't you make any sound when you walked? Ning Shu felt a murderous gaze staring at him. It was probably Feng Yin, who was upset that he had ruined his plans. Ning Shu's expression didn't change. He looked around and took out a talisman from his pocket and handed it to Song Shihan. He whispered, "I really think there's a ghost here. I don't know why, but it feels eerie." Song Shihan glanced at Feng Jin, who was standing there with a vexed and unhappy expression. She felt an inexplicable sweetness in her heart. A man like this was by her side, protecting her and loving her. She was a little disdainful of the talisman Ning Shu gave her. She said, "There are good people. Even if there are ghosts, there are good and bad people. I don't need this talisman." Ning Shu was speechless. This girl had a strange worldview. Why did she always side with ghosts? The ghost Tao was the same as the human Tao. They both had their own rules. There were good and bad people, and ghosts were definitely good and bad. However, it was impossible to cross the line. Besides, how could you be so sure that the ghost you met was a good one? If it weren't for the ghost king by her side, Song Shihan's current body, which was filled with yin qi, would have become the target of many ghosts coveting her body and wanting to possess it. Ning Shu's face twitched. He stuffed the talisman into Song Shihan's hands. "You can't go wrong with this for self-defense." Ning Shu stuffed the talisman into Song Shihan's hands and turned to leave. Song Shihan glanced at the talisman in her hands. She looked at Feng Yin and said, "I suddenly feel that these people are really annoying. I want to be with you. It doesn't matter if you're a human or a ghost. A human's heart is much scarier than a ghost's." Feng Yin frowned and said, "But we're humans and ghosts after all. This isn't good for your health." Song Shihan hugged Feng Yin's waist tightly and said, "I'm willing to pay any price to be with you. No one can separate us." Feng Yin smiled. He lowered his head and rubbed Song Shihan's head. "I'll protect you well. I won't hurt you." Feng Yin nonchalantly picked up the talisman in Song Shihan's hands and said to her, "These low-level Taoist items are useless to me. You." Before Feng Yin could finish speaking, black smoke suddenly emerged from his jade-white hands. The yin qi and evil qi in his soul body surged out. Song Shihan felt as if her body had fallen into an ice cellar when she was surrounded by such an intense evil qi. However, she didn't care about herself. She hurriedly shouted at Feng Yin, "Feng Yin, what's wrong? What's wrong with you?" Feng Yin's jade-like face was filled with evil qi. His eyebrows looked even more handsome. His eyes were red, and his lips were dark purple. He looked unusually evil. Feng Yin wanted to throw away the burning talisman in his hands. However, there was a force in the talisman. A force of origin energy flowed into his body. Feng Yin frowned and threw away the talisman in his hands. However, Feng Yin felt very uncomfortable in his soul body. Song Shihan picked up the talisman that Feng Yin had thrown away. She opened it and saw that there was nothing on it. Song Shihan had seen red cinnabar earlier. Why was it gone now? Song Shihan looked at Feng Yin and asked worriedly, "Are you okay?" Feng Yin smiled at Song Shihan comfortingly. His eyes were as dark as ink. His smile was even more charming. He said, "I'm fine. Don't worry." Song Shihan only saw Feng Yin's smile. Although they were together, she still couldn't resist Feng Yin's charm. Sometimes, Song Shihan would wonder why Feng Yin was so good to her. After returning to the office, Ning Shu secretly wiped the cow's tears on his eyelids. He saw the ghost called Coachman hiding in a dark corner. It was probably because everyone in the office had a talisman each. Furthermore, he had been injured by Ning Shu's talisman earlier. He didn't dare to play pranks as he pleased anymore. However, Coachman was glaring at Ning Shu angrily. Ning Shu was expressionless and pretended not to see him. Female boss. Chapter 743. Ning Shu couldn't figure out why Song Shihan would allow the coachman to tease the people in the company like this. What good would it do her? This was something that could be solved with just a word from her. She probably treated the coachman as her younger brother and was just being naughty. Moreover, the people she was teasing were colleagues who didn't get along with her. Song Shihan just let it be. Ning Shu saw Song Shihan come back from the bathroom. Her face was a little pale, and there was a dark aura between her brows. There was also a faint black line in the middle of her forehead. It was obvious that the evil aura had entered her body. Her body couldn't withstand the sweet interaction with Feng Yin, who had cultivated for 1,000 years, and had evil aura and yin aura as his body. Kissing or doing indescribable things was the price of overdrawing one's life. It looked sweet, but what awaited Song Shihan in the future was her soul being scattered. Tao Qin died early, so she didn't know how Song Shihan and Feng Yin resolved this conflict. Song Shihan and Feng Yin were the male and female leads of this world. They wouldn't separate easily. Ning Shu said to Song Shihan sneakily, "You have to keep the talisman I gave you well. It's really useful." Song Shihan's expression wasn't very good, although she didn't know if what had happened just now had hurt Feng Yin. Seeing Feng Yin's bad expression was enough to make Song Shihan feel disgust towards this colleague, who had suddenly arrived for no reason. "I don't need it. I'm not afraid of a crooked shadow. I didn't do anything evil. I'm not afraid of ghosts," Song Shihan said angrily. "You're talking about ghosts. You're making everyone restless. Everyone's on tenterhooks." Song Shihan sat in her office chair. It was just a relationship. These people were annoying. So what if they were ghosts? She was willing to be with ghosts. They even insisted on giving her the talisman. What a busybody. Song Shihan looked very irritated and agitated. This was evil aura entering her body and disturbing her magnetic field. Song Shihan couldn't control her emotions now. Ning Shu shrugged. "I'm just saying. Why are you so angry?" "I'm not angry. I just think that you're a strange person," Song Shihan said with some agitation. Feng Yin saw that Song Shihan was angry, so he whispered into her ear, "Shihan, don't be angry. I'm fine. That talisman won't hurt me." Song Shihan's heart ached for Feng Yin. Just now in the bathroom, Feng Yin's body was emitting a black aura, and his eyes were red. It made Song Shihan especially hate Ning Shu, who had given her the talisman. Feng Yin comforted Song Shihan, and nodded at Xiaoxi who was hiding in the corner. The coachman immediately laughed. Ning Shu revealed a ferocious smile, causing the black aura on his body to thicken. Ning Shu saw this, and knew that Feng Yin wanted this ghost to kill him. Ning Shu's expression did not change. He pretended that he did not see anything. When it was time to get off work, the sky was already dark, and the people in the office left one after another. Song Shihan also left, and Feng Yin followed beside her. Feng Yin gave the coachman a look, and the coachman stayed behind. He looked at Ning Shu evilly. Ning Shu packed her things and left the company. She felt a gust of cold air behind her, and on her neck. Ning Shu lowered his head, and saw a pair of blue hands strangling his neck. The other party was clinging to his body, and strangling his neck with all his strength. Ning Shu felt that it was difficult to breathe. He even heard the ghost say, "Why don't you take a look at yourself? How dare you stop Master Feng and Sister Shihan?" Ning Shu was expressionless. He coughed twice and walked to a more remote place. He quickly took out a talisman and stuck it on the ghost's forehead. The coachman immediately let go of Ning Shu's neck and roared. He wanted to take the talisman off his forehead, but when he touched it, there was a sizzling sound and a black aura came out. "I didn't find you. Instead you found me." Ning Shu held the soul pearl between his fingers. The soul pearl was so black that it was shining. When the coachman saw the soul pearl, his soul trembled slightly. He looked at the soul pearl in shock. Although he did not know what it was, the coachman felt that he had been targeted by something terrifying. The coachman did not care about the talisman on his head. He turned and ran. Ning Shu took out the talisman and chanted an incantation. The talisman flew out and stuck to the coachman's body. Instantly the coachman was frozen. No matter how hard he struggled, he could not escape. Ning Shu walked over and stuck another talisman on the coachman's body. Black aura came out of the coachman's body. Even his soul became more transparent. The coachman looked at Ning Shu with a twisted face. His eyes were full of hatred. One look, and one could tell that he was an evil spirit. Ning Shu ignored his gaze and asked, "Did you do something to Xia Yuan?" The coachman's head was stiff. He ignored Ning Shu's question. Ning Shu was not in a hurry. He took out the talisman and stuck it on the coachman's body. He said calmly, "I don't have many other things, but I have plenty of talismans." When the talisman was stuck on the coachman's body, his face was twisted. Thick black aura came out of his body. Although this ghost was not as strong as Feng Yin, it was still a powerful hostile ghost. It was not as naughty as Song Shihan thought. You can see me? The coachman looked at Ning Shu in surprise. He then looked at the talisman in Ning Shu's hand. His face turned pale. You're a ghost hunter. I'm a Taoist priest from Mao Mountain, Ning Shu said coldly. Did you do something to Xia Yuan? The coachman sneered. How dare you show off in front of Master Feng with your mediocre skills? You won't even know how you died. I'll make sure you die a horrible death. You won't even have the chance to be a ghost. Ning Shu stuck another talisman on the coachman's body expressionlessly. At the same time, the coachman was in great pain. His spiritual body was getting weaker and weaker. Kill me if you can. The coachman looked at Ning Shu with hatred. His fingernails were getting longer and longer. He was trying hard to break free from Ning Shu's control. Ning Shu stuck another talisman on the coachman. The coachman said painfully, I'm going to kill everyone in that company. None of the Xia family can escape. Ning Shu shrugged and stuck 2 more talismans on the coachman's body. Before the coachman could say anything, Ning Shu stuck 3 more talismans on the coachman. I'll have to stick talismans all over your body, Ning Shu said as he stuck a few more talismans on the coachman's body. The coachman's face was a little distorted. His soul was getting more and more transparent, and the black aura coming out of his body was getting thinner. Let me ask you, did you do something to Xia Yuan? Ning Shu asked with the talismans in his hand. The coachman looked at Ning Shu with hatred. So what if I did? He actually went after Master Feng's woman, and had designs on Song Shihan. If he didn't die, who would? Haha, he should be dead by now. Ning Shu asked again. Where did the corpse oil come from? The coachman didn't say anything. Ning Shu stuck another talisman on the coachman's body. The coachman's soul became even thinner, as if it would dissipate with the wind. Chapter 744. When the coachman saw Ning Shu sticking stickers on him expressionlessly, he couldn't help but feel a trace of fear in his heart, especially when he saw a round black bead in her hand. The bead was trembling slightly, which made the coachman feel as if he was facing a formidable enemy. If this went on, his soul would definitely scatter. Even ghosts were afraid of evil people. Ning Shu looked a little impatient. Let me ask you one last time. What's going on with Xia Yuan? The coachman looked wronged, and his face was distorted. He said reluctantly, Of course Song Shihan made this corpse oil. That man should look at himself in the mirror. Master Feng gave Song Shihan a bottle of corpse oil, and said that as long as she applied it on him, that man would stop pestering her. Song Shihan has been annoyed by that man for a long time, so she naturally listened to Master Feng. He thinks that he can do whatever he wants because his family is rich. He can't even compare to Master Feng's toenails. Master Feng is too kind. I should have just killed him, the coachman said viciously. Ning Shu thought to himself, ha ha ha. Ning Shu's heart was full of sarcasm. If it weren't for Feng Yin, Song Shihan would probably be with Xia Yuan now. Was Xia Yuan bad? Not bad. His family was rich, and he was also a person who had returned from studying abroad. He looked, well, his face was full of bruises now. Ning Shu still didn't know what he looked like. Feng Yin probably gave Song Shihan the corpse oil to test her. Oh haha, your unwavering love. I'm done. Let me go. The coachman lifted his chin slightly and said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu was expressionless. If you didn't hurt anyone, I would naturally let you go. But now, Ning Shu let go of the soul bead in his hand. The soul bead suddenly flew towards the coachman and crashed into his soul. The coachman's face was distorted. You'll die a horrible death. Master Feng will. Before he could finish, his soul was absorbed by the soul bead. Ning Shu held the floating soul bead. The soul pearl was extremely black, the kind of pure black. Ning Shu held it in his hand and could feel the surging soul power inside. However, this thing would only enter and not exit. It would only absorb soul energy endlessly. Ning Shu suspected that if this thing grew stronger, it would absorb her soul. Ning Shu hailed a taxi and returned to the villa. Not long after Ning Shu left, a red-robed Feng Yin appeared. He lowered his head and looked at the talisman on the ground. With a wave of his hand, the talisman was sucked into his palm. The talisman paper immediately turned black and turned into ashes. Feng Yin narrowed his eyes slightly and instantly disappeared. When Ning Shu returned to the villa, he saw Xie Yuan sitting on the sofa watching TV with a bruised face. When she saw Ning Shu, she greeted him weakly. Ning Shu ignored him and sat on the sofa. He picked up the fruit from the fruit plate and ate it. Xie Yuan stared blankly at Ning Shu. You really have a big appetite. Xie Weiming came out of the study and asked the servants to serve the food. He then asked Ning Shu to have dinner. The Xie family's food was quite delicious. Ning Shu had been eating his own dark cuisine ever since he entered this world. Ning Shu ate in big mouthfuls. Xie Yuan bared her teeth and looked at Ning Shu. How long has it been since you last ate? Ning Shu said, a long time. I didn't have enough to eat in the Taoist temple. So this time, your family will have to pay more to feed more than 10 people in the temple. Xie Weiming said. If this matter is resolved, I won't treat you unfairly. Ning Shu nodded and put more food into his bowl. After dinner, Ning Shu checked Xie Yuan's pulse again. After checking his pulse, he asked him to drink the exorcism soup. Xie Weiming asked Ning Shu, how's his body now? Ning Shu said, take good care of yourself in the future. He hurt his body this time. Ning Shu said to Xie Yuan, don't even think about chasing the girl in the company. She's already taken. You can't force her. Xie Yuan's face darkened. You're interfering in my private life now? How can you say that? Xie Weiming glared at Xie Yuan. Then he turned to Ning Shu and said, how's the situation in the company? Ning Shu said, I've dealt with the ghost that caused trouble, but the other one is a little difficult. Xie Yuan widened her dark eyes and looked at Ning Shu. You make it sound as if it's true. Ning Shu looked at Xie Yuan. You still don't learn your lesson after suffering a loss. I really can't believe it. After all, it's something that will shatter my worldview. I have to struggle for a while, Xie Yuan said. Ning Shu curled his lips. It's up to you to believe it or not. There are many things in this world that can't be explained. It's necessary to be in awe of the unknown. Xie Yuan pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Xie Weiming asked, is the other one really that powerful? The 1,000-year ghost king. Ning Shu said, I can't deal with it for the time being. Even if he had the soul pearl, he might not be able to defeat Feng Yin. Did he think that Feng Yin's 1,000 years of cultivation was a joke? Xie Weiming frowned. Why are these things piling up in the company? Sigh, because of love. Ning Shu returned to his room and took out his cloth bag. After thinking for a while, he decided to set up a formation in the company while it was dark. Ning Shu slung the cloth bag over his shoulder and prepared to go to the company. Xie Weiming saw that Ning Shu was about to go out and asked, where are you going? I'm going to the company to do something, Ning Shu said. Xie Yuan saw that Ning Shu was carrying a big bag and couldn't help but say, I'm embarrassed to see you so serious. Ning Shu was speechless. I'll go with you and see if we can see the ghost, Xie Yuan said. Ning Shu sneered. You'd better stay at home. Your body is weak and sickly. You'll definitely be possessed by the ghost. You're courting death. Go ahead. Xie Weiming glanced at his son and said kindly to Ning Shu. He even asked his chauffeur to send Ning Shu. When they arrived at the company, Ning Shu got out of the car and stuck a talisman on it. He said to the chauffeur, wait for me here. Ning Shu entered the company alone. He took off the cloth bag and took out the soul pearl and the compass passed down by the founder. He would use these two items to hold the formation. Ning Shu recited the incantation and began to set up the formation according to the props given to him by the company. Ning Shu set up two formations. One was the Yang Gathering formation, and the other was the Immortal Binding formation. He hoped that these two formations would have a suppressive effect on Feng Yin. Ning Shu placed the soul pearl and the compass on the ceiling and recited the incantation. The formation became visible and then dimmed. In the end, it was hidden. Ning Shu instantly felt that the yang qi in the office was gathering very slowly. Because it was night time, the yin qi was already strong. If it was daytime, the yang qi would be abundant. After doing these things, Ning Shu went downstairs with the cloth bag and got into the car to return to the villa. Master Immortal, can you give me a few protective talismans? Ning Shu asked the chauffeur. I'm willing to pay for them. Ning Shu nodded. Sure. He gave the chauffeur a few talismans. I'll give you a discount. 1,000 yuan. The chauffeur was speechless. After returning to the villa, Ning Shu went back to his room. He took a shower and sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate. Chapter 745. Fortunately, she had the support of a peerless martial art, which allowed her to cultivate qi-jin in the modern world. If it was in the past, she wouldn't have been able to cultivate it at all. During the day, she had interacted with Feng Yin. He was really powerful. He could control and release his evil aura and yin qi freely. No matter where he went, there would be evil aura. Ning Shu couldn't help but scratch his head when he thought of Feng Yin. The difference between them was too big. Was it really not against the rules to have such a powerful ability in the modern world? After cultivating for a night, his body cultivated a trace of qi-jin. It combined with the qi-jin in his dantian, making the qi-jin in his dantian thicker. Ning Shu stuffed a lot of talismans on his body and took the essential cow tears. Although he could open his third eye by chanting the incantation, it was too tiring. Ning Shu went downstairs and ate breakfast before heading to the office. Walking into the office, Ning Shu felt that the office wasn't as gloomy as before. The employees also didn't have that gloomy aura. When Ning Shu arrived at her office, she saw that Song Shihan's body was emitting a thick black aura. She slept with ghosts every day, and it was a 1,000-year-old ghost king. Her body would definitely be stained with evil aura and yin qi. Now that there was a yang gathering array in the office, there was sufficient yang qi. The yin qi and yang qi on her body would definitely restrain each other. Ning Shu looked around and didn't see Feng Yin. He was a little curious about where Feng Yin had gone. Under the illumination of the yang qi, Song Shihan's face was a little pale. Her brows were slightly furrowed, and she looked a little uncomfortable. Ning Shu asked Song Shihan, "Are you okay? Look, aren't you fine?" Song Shihan waved her hand and didn't say anything. She endured the discomfort and started working. However, she wasn't in a good mood. Moreover, Feng Yin wasn't by her side, which made her feel down. Ning Shu was puzzled. Where did Feng Yin go? One had to know that the two of them were inseparable. Relying on the fact that no one could see them, Feng Yin was always by Song Shihan's side. Song Shihan wasn't used to his sudden absence today. Ning Shu also had a bad feeling. Did Feng Yin go to do something? Ning Shu was very afraid that Feng Yin would go to the Taoist temple. The old man couldn't take it head-on. Ning Shu thought for a while, then picked up the phone and called the village chief's house, asking him to call Tao Cheng. The old man was quite famous in the village around the Taoist temple. After waiting for a long time, Ning Shu called the old man. Hearing the old man's voice on the other side of the phone, Ning Shu heaved a sigh of relief. Ning Shu told the old man about what had happened to him, emphasizing on Ghost King Feng Yin. Ning Shu was afraid that he would anger Feng Yin and bring bad luck to the entire Taoist temple. Ning Shu wanted the old man to take the disciples and hide. Although she didn't know if Feng Yin knew that she was a Taoist priest, Ning Shu didn't dare to take the risk. If the sect was destroyed, how could she make a comeback? Even if Feng Yin died in the end, this mission might still fail. What Tao Qin was most upset about was the death of her master and junior brothers and sisters. Killing Feng Yin was to protect the sect. She didn't want to confuse her priorities. The old man told Ning Shu to be careful. He would think of a way to persuade Ning Shu not to fight the Ghost King head-on. Ning Shu also told him about the Ghost King and a woman. When the old man heard Ning Shu's description, he said anxiously, "If you can save her, hurry up and save her. If she continues to stay with the Ghost King, she will definitely become a walking corpse. Her soul will be destroyed." Ning Shu rolled his eyes and said, "They are truly in love. The two of them can't bear to part. Even if they die, they won't regret it. To have such love in life, I can die without regrets." The old man was speechless. "What the hell are you talking about? Humans and ghosts are different. Forcing a relationship will be condemned by the heavens. Also, the unlucky person isn't a ghost, the old man said. I know. I'll try to persuade her, but there's not much hope. That ghost looks peerless and unparalleled, Ningxu said. If the ghost looks like you, I don't need to persuade her. She will immediately find someone to destroy the ghost. After a while the old man said, That's just a smokescreen. It wasn't a smokescreen. Generally speaking, ghosts would retain their appearance when they were alive after death. This meant that Feng Yin looked like that. Last, be careful, the old man instructed Ningxu. Ningxu repeated, Master, you must be careful. Junior brothers and sisters too. The old man nodded and said, If you encounter a ghost, do so if you can. Isn't that the job of monks? Ningxu said, according to what you're saying, it's ridiculous to kill every ghost we catch. Although we rely on this to make a living, we still have to accumulate some merit. If we can kill less, it's best, the old man said angrily. Ningxu thought of the coachman he had killed and said, What if a ghost is rotten to the core and refuses to repent? What if we can't release it? What's the point of releasing it if we can't release it? Destroying it is also a merit, the old man said. Finally, he reminded Ningxu to be careful before hanging up. After hanging up, Ningxu sighed in melancholy. When he returned to the office, he saw Song Shihan sweating profusely. Her face was very pale. Black smoke was coming out of her body, but it dissipated when the yang energy shone on her. The yang energy gathered by the spirit gathering array was not harmful to others. It felt very comfortable. The employees today were in a completely different state from yesterday. However, the yang energy was painful for Song Shihan. Ningxu asked Song Shihan, Are you all right? Song Shihan did not know what was going on. She felt very uncomfortable staying in the office. She had never felt this way before. Song Shihan could not help but look at the office door, wondering when Feng Yin would appear. Her body was really uncomfortable. Song Shihan leaned on the desk in discomfort. Ningxu took out a talisman and gave it to Song Shihan. He said, Take this with you. It's quite useful. Song Shihan did not take the talisman. This kind of talisman would hurt Feng Yin. Seeing that Song Shihan did not want the talisman, Ningxu did not force her. He put it away. After all, her talisman was not cheap. The servants of the Xie family bought talismans for thousands of yuan each. Moreover, the sales were very good. Even Xie Weiming bought a lot. Song Shihan was in so much pain that the veins on her forehead bulged. She let out a soft moan. Her body was emitting a thick black aura. Ningxu could not help but raise his eyebrows. There was actually so much yin energy in Song Shihan's body. Song Shihan, sleep at work. If you don't want to go to work, go home and sleep. Treat the company as your own home. Song Shihan's female superior walked over and knocked on the table. Song Shihan wanted to force herself to sit up straight, but she did not have any strength. She was in so much pain that the world was spinning. It was as if there was a nail drilling into her brain. Song Shihan also felt that her body was out of her control. Her mind was in a mess, and she was in so much pain. Ningxu saw that his female superior was about to scold Song Shihan. So he quickly said, Supervisor, she's really not feeling well so. Before Ningxu could finish, he saw Feng Yin appear behind his female superior. His hair was fluttering, and he was looking at her with bloodshot eyes. Chapter 746. Feng Yin suddenly appeared behind the female boss. His eyes were red, his hair was fluttering, and there was a strong murderous aura around him. However, the female boss was unaware, and was still nagging Song Shihan. Feng Yin suddenly pressed his hand on the female boss's head, and an overwhelming murderous aura spread from the top of the female boss's head to her entire body. The female boss froze and her voice stopped abruptly. It was as if she had lost her soul, and her eyes were extremely dull. Ningxu suddenly grabbed the female boss's arm and pulled her into her office. Feng Yin looked at Ningxu coldly, but he was worried about his lover and had no time to care about the female boss, who had been dragged away by Ningxu. Ningxu pulled the female boss to an independent office. The female boss was extremely dazed, and her eyes were unfocused. Ning Shu closed the office door and took out a talisman to stick on her forehead. The strong murderous aura around her made Ning Shu a little flustered. If this went on, the female boss would definitely become a zombie. She would have no soul, but her body would still be alive. Ning Shu quickly called Xia Weiming and asked him to come over and take the female boss away. He couldn't do anything in the company. Ning Shu opened the blinds and looked outside the public office. Feng Yin was whispering something into Song Shihan's ear. Feng Yin looked anxious. Song Shihan's face was pale, and even her lips were pale. Feng Yin was even more anxious. He felt that the situation in the company had changed. Why was there so much yang energy? Song Shihan felt uncomfortable because of the yang energy. Feng Yin frowned. If Song Shihan wanted to be with him, the yin energy would definitely enter her body, and her soul would dissipate. After thousands of years, he had finally found her. There was no way he was going to let her go, much less let her soul scatter and scatter. Shihan, let's go home first. Let's go home, okay? Feng Yin's tone was extremely gentle. Song Shihan felt cold and hot all over her body. The alternating cold and heat made her feel very uncomfortable. When she heard Feng Yin's words, she picked up her bag from the table and prepared to leave. Song Shihan even had some difficulty standing up. Feng Yin held her waist and Song Shihan's body was almost pressed against Feng Yin's. In the eyes of others, Song Shihan was walking with her body tilted. He staggered but he didn't fall. When Ning Shu saw that Feng Yin and Song Shihan had left, he took out a few more talismans and stuck them on his superior's body. Without any tools, Ning Shu had no way to expel the evil spirit from her body. Not long after, Xia Weiming came and asked someone to help the female boss out of the office. Ning Shu asked, "What should we do now?" "Back to the villa. My tools are all in the villa," Ning Shu said as he got into the car. Soon they returned to the villa. Ning Shu went upstairs to get his cloth bag and bumped into Xia Yuan. Xia Yuan saw his female boss sitting motionlessly on the sofa with her head lowered in the living room and asked, "What's going on?" Ning Shu ignored her. He pulled a table over and made a simple altar. He placed the peachwood sword and willow branch on the table and filled a bowl with glutinous rice soaked in cinnabar. The female boss, who was sitting on the sofa, felt very uncomfortable. She stood up from the sofa and looked around in a daze, wanting to escape. Ning Shu sprinkled the glutinous rice on the ground. When the female boss stepped on it, her feet made a sizzling sound, and she immediately retracted her foot. Xia Yuan watched Ning Shu dance with the peachwood sword and couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Are you dancing? Shut up." Xia Weiming slapped Xia Yuan on the head. Ning Shu had set up a yang gathering array in this room. The female superior's body was emitting a thick baleful aura. The entire living room looked like it was in hell. The chilly wind whistled, making it difficult for people to breathe. Ning Shu held a talisman between his fingers and chanted an incantation. The talisman flew toward the female boss and stuck on her body. The female boss raised her head and screamed. The evil spirit on her body became stronger. Ning Shu frowned. Feng Yin was probably too angry, so he was very harsh on his female superior. The murderous aura had seriously corroded the female superior's body. She was afraid that this woman would end up dying early. Feng Yin, oh Feng Yin. He only had eyes for his woman. Everyone else was scum. His woman wouldn't even have the chance to be reincarnated if they offended him. He was so cool. He couldn't tell right from wrong. Although the female boss was wrong, the price she had to pay was a little high. Ning Shu's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He gritted his teeth and performed the incantation. In the end, the female boss screamed and collapsed on the floor. Xia Yuan watched from the side. Her pupils trembled, and she couldn't speak for a long time. Ning Shu wiped his sweat. His body was a little weak. Damn it. She would really die from exhaustion if he did it a few more times. Ning Shu said to Xia Weiming, "Give Xia Yuan some of the medicine you gave her. Also compensate her if you can. The damage to her body is a little serious." Xia Weiming wiped his face and said gloomily, "What is this? If we don't fire that woman, we don't know what will happen in the future." Ning Shu waved his hand, and gulped down a large bottle of water. She only said that the employee was slacking at work. That's what happened. If you fire her, all the employees in your company will turn into ghosts tomorrow. No, they would only become nourishment for Feng Yin. Xia Weiming's face was distorted. He sighed and said, "What should we do then? Should we call your master over?" Ning Shu shook his head. He wouldn't call the old man over. If he did, what would happen to the children in the Taoist temple? Xia Yuan moved closer to Ning Shu and asked, "What were you doing just now?" The wind was strong and the wind was cold. It was like a special effect. Ning Shu was speechless. Your bad luck is because of your mouth. If you didn't flirt with Song Shihan, you would have been punished by Feng Yin. Song Shihan couldn't stand it and smeared corpse oil on you. Wasn't it because you couldn't take it? Xia Yuan said. The injury on Xia Yuan's face was much better than before. It could also be seen that Xia Yuan looked like a bear. He was quite handsome. Of course, he was far from being comparable to Feng Yin. He had a kind of roguish and yuppie temperament. Ning Shu pursed his lips. He would take Xia Yuan to see a ghost one day and completely shatter his worldview. Xia Weiming gave his female superior nearly 2 months of leave to recuperate and take paid leave. After finishing these things, it was time for dinner. Ning Shu ate 3 bowls of white rice. Xia Yuan was a little speechless. Is your Taoist temple that poor? It was as if he hadn't eaten in 8 lifetimes. Ning Shu felt that Xia Yuan was an eyesore. He said faintly, "There are more than 10 children in the Taoist temple. They are all orphans. It's like an orphanage. How rich can they be if they rely on my master's feng shui, exorcism and fortune-telling?" Xia Yuan saw that Ning Shu was angry, so she raised her hand and said, "I'm just saying. Don't be angry. I'll raise some donations for your Taoist temple one day, as a way to repay you for saving my life." "Haha, thank you," Ning Shu said faintly. "You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."